This episode is brought to you in part by Hindsight. Hindsight is a new science fiction novel by author Matthew Keegan. Hindsight is a time travel adventure that Tim Truax at the Nerd Room calls a brilliant tapestry of time travel and history that will leave you questioning everything, impossible to put down. Find the links to Hindsight at talkstarwars.co.uk/hindsight and order your copy today. This episode is also brought to you by the Talk Star Wars Patreon community. If you'd like to support what we do now and help us expand our programming, head to patreon.com/talkstarwars and become a patron. In return, you'll get an exclusive daily podcast, a monthly newsletter, Facebook Live sessions, priority release podcasts, and monthly prize giveaways and a whole lot more. You'll also get access to our VIP-only Facebook group. This group contains a global community of Star Wars fans that have become dear friends. So head to patreon.com/talkstarwars today and become a TSW patron. This is Talk Star Wars, the official podcast of talkstarwars.co.uk. Hello everyone, welcome back to Talk Star Wars. I'm Mark.
I'm Stephen.
And I'm Paul.
And Rob is running a little bit behind schedule,
Rob.
but oh, there he is actually, just joined us there,
like him.
and has disappeared again. Pinocchio Rob. Rob will join us shortly. He's having some train issues. I told him he should have bought a car. The trains are always a pain.
He's so off the rails, that boy.
No, there it is. Well done. Do you want to do a quick catch up, chaps, before we get into this, or do you want to dive
let's
straight
get to
into
the points.
Should we get straight to it?
Let's do a quick catch up. Shout out to Jeremy, who's watching an episode of Star Wars every night, and he's on The Force Awakens tonight.
Oh, is he? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah.
Really?
He's getting himself geared up, isn't he?
So does that mean he's on night 7?
I don't know.
Yeah, he should
When's
have
it come
started
out?
tonight, really, shouldn't he?
Yeah, well, maybe no, because he's doing 7 on the same night as 8, isn't he?
Right. So what's he going to start again tomorrow with A New Hope?
I don't know. Maybe he's having a day off.
It sounds to me like
he's
Jeremy.
having a day of respite after the Phantom Menace. He'll need to get over it, won't he?
I think he's made a tremendous mistake with his scheduling of these movies. And everything.
This is what he messaged me. I didn't do the math or the calendarisation.
Yeah, no, I think he may be doing it all completely wrong. But there you go. Each to their own.
He'll know what he's doing.
I'm sure. All right, let's get to some thank yous, and then we can get into some juicy bits and pieces this week. So we're going to start by saying thank you to Daniel Batazen, Clara Barrow, Kevin Brown, Antoine Sauvage, Jacob Anderson for subscribing to the YouTube channel this week. A lot of names in there. Thank you ever so much for jumping into that little community. It's greatly appreciated.
Can I add by saying,
please do.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Oh, well, nicely done. I did think that actually when I was typing his name into the notes the other day.
You didn't.
I thought I'll leave it though. Low hanging fruit. Paul to get that. Also, a huge thank you to our new patrons this week, our new VIPs. So Clayton Fraley, who was on the Facebook Live with us this evening, and a returning VIP, Jared Peppard, who had stepped away while he moved home. He's got a baby due. You saw this, Paul, didn't you, in the Facebook Live session? Jared's baby is due the day before The Last Jedi. And he's already chosen a name. The baby will be called Ezra.
Ezra Snoke Peppard.
I'm not sure about the Snoke. I think you may have just given Ezra his middle name.
He could choose Ray.
Yeah.
I thought you was being anti-Semitic then, Mark.
God.
When you said he's got a baby Jew, I'm like, all right, flipping hell.
Oh, goodness me.
Current climate.
Stephen,
honestly,
please.
I thought, what? Hey.
Due. The day before The Last Jedi. He's
Talk Star Wars with Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah, there were people trying to get him to start this birthing process this evening. I saw cries for inducing that baby right now so that he can get to a screening of The Last Jedi. I'm not sure about priorities there, but I'm going to support it. So thank you, Clayton. Thank you, Jared, for returning to the group. It's good to see you guys in there already, having fun in the Facebook Live. So we got a bit of news about Talk Star Wars. this week, which I hope doesn't come across as a brag, but it is kind of exciting because everyone that listens to this podcast has helped get us into this situation. So up until recently, we've been, if you search Star Wars in Apple Podcasts, you'll find Talk Star Wars in there, sort of around the top, in the top 10 for Star Wars podcasts, just about everywhere. So certainly in the UK, Canada, and in the US. I think we're 6 in the UK, 6 in Canada, 7 in the US, something like that. But what's really exciting is over the past month or so, we've been popping up in TV and film as well in Apple Podcasts, which is a big deal for a little podcast like us. And but they've been in some unusual areas where we sort of get some downloads, but not in the sort of numbers that you'd think would push you into TV and film. But this week, we ended up at 147 in TV and film in the UK, which is a really significant thing for a little podcast like us to end up charting in such a prominent area. We don't even make a dent in podcasts overall, but it's early days.
And if you add 1, 4, and 7 together, you get 12.
Yes.
And that is the month of December, and that is when episode 8 comes out.
Brilliant. You are a veritable Jim Carrey, number 23 style. Congrats.
Weird.
Rob, you join us.
Hello there.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Oh, there
Hello.
it is.
All right.
Yeah, there's some abusive stuff going on in the messages, Rob. It's all.
I wouldn't worry about it.
It's all Stephen, and
It's all
fine,
Mark's
it's fine.
fault.
I think we can
It's
just
Mark.
The problem.
kick some dust over
Not a
it.
problem.
He's the troublemaker,
It's fine.
that Mark.
It's fine. It's fine. Fine. I'll get you later.
Oh,
No!
Oh, sorry, we've
time
started.
code.
I
We
do
have
apologise.
started indeed.
I'm sorry, I thought we started.
That's all
You
right.
knew
Sorry, I
what
thought
you
we'd
were
started. I would have sworn.
So what you're saying, Mark, is we keep popping up in unusual areas.
Ooh, my.
Yeah, we are popping up all over the place. But to get into TV and film
my.
in the UK is a very significant thing.
Isn't it? Well done, you lot.
Just ahead of a couple of really important Kevins, Kevin Pollock and Kevin Smith. We're just a few places ahead of their shows. It's it really is fantastic. So thank you to everyone who supports us by just downloading the show every week and listening to a couple of hours of Star Wars talk. It's greatly appreciated.
Just think, you would have been in probably the 90 instead of 147 if it wasn't for me.
No, you're a huge draw, Steve. Don't put yourself down. You've got huge draws.
Oh my!
It's just a shame you don't wear them more.
Talking about Jim Carrey,
Yes.
I did a very strange thing of watching Jim and Andy and then watching Man in the Moon, and both of
Okay.
which were freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about Man in the Moon.
Yeah, I thought
Spit it out for crying
Andy
out
was
loud.
amazing, and I thought Jim was
Got places
amazing.
to be, mate.
I will.
Yeah.
I will check
Very
that.
good.
It's on Netflix, isn't it? That.
Yeah, they're
Jim
both
and
on Netflix. The movie streaming services are available.
They are, but they don't have Man in the Moon.
We don't have
But
to
I
worry
never
about those
realised Andy
qualifiers.
Kaufman was such a genius. And Jim Carrey now is more real, and I'm probably going to get a lot of stick for saying this because he has, in some people's eyes, gone complete Looney Tunes. I think he's making complete sense. It makes more
that
sense now
explains
than
so
he ever
much.
did. It probably does.
Hang
Thank you,
on,
thank
so
you.
Steve, you think he's making complete sense?
Yes,
Yeah,
I agree
that's fine.
with
That's
just about
absolutely
everything he
fine.
says.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Insert
Yeah.
qualifiers. All right, let's move on. Reviews. We don't have any reviews this week. That was the last thing I was waiting for to pop up this week because it would have been a perfect set of show notes. No reviews this week.
Yay.
But don't forget you can take advantage of our Ron Burgundy policy by heading over to Apple Podcasts and leaving us a 5-star review. And what that means is anything you write in that review we will read verbatim as long as it's clean. So if you want to promote something, like if you've got your own podcast or a blog, that's a place to do it. But we do have some input from our listeners on YouTube, which is a really enjoyable place to go and pick up these little comments now. So Autobahn Kenobi, would someone like to, I always talk so much at the top of these episodes. Who wants to read Autobahn Kenobi's comment from
Steve
YouTube this week?
wants to.
Steve, this is your friend
I'll do it.
Autobahn Kenobi.
Thanks for another great show. Since the film is having a screening in Japan in another day or two, I guess I'm going to go as dark as possible on the internet for the last week. Someone will be spoiling on 4chan or Reddit just as soon as the movie is over. I'd like to at least have a few surprises watching for the first time. JPEGs of Han Solo with a lightsaber through the chest were appearing on my Twitter feed during special premiere week last time.
Oh, they've rehashed that for episode 8. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, it would surprise me. So I'm not going to take any chances with this film. Looking forward to coming back and listening to you guys after I've seen the movie. I'll have some free time coming up. So I see no reason not to join the VIP program in a couple of weeks. You guys have made the build up to this movie a lot of fun, and you're by far my favourite podcast, and Steve's by far my favourite person. May the force be with you. Also, Bun Kenobi. How lovely was that?
It's lovely.
A little bit of editorial.
Yeah, see if you can find the drop in
He
there.
didn't say you're my
He's doing so
podcast.
well.
We can't promise verbatim, and then you burp up whatever crosses that deadpan brain of yours. Autobahn Kenobi, thank you so much for these generous comments you made at the end there. It's wonderful, and we certainly hope that you do join the VIP group. I think you'll have a lot of fun in that Facebook page. It's brilliant. Steve, that was well read, by the way. Awesome. What about this comment from Diego? Paul, do you want to take Diego's comment?
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're going to take it.
I took it. Yeah.
Did you?
Thank you so much for answering, guys. What did we answer?
Well, Diego made a comment, and we got quite a lot of mileage out of it last week.
Okay, that's unusual for us.
That's been known, yeah.
Sorry for being that verbose. I plead guilty of such flaw.
Yeah, no, don't apologise for that, Diego. It's great.
Ever.
We love big wordy comments in our.
I'm the last person who should criticise people for going on.
Yeah,
you said
going
it.
on one. Yeah.
I mean, the question could be, "How are you guys?" and it would still take 3 hours. So.
This is true. We do like a.
Well, we love you, Rob.
We had a couple of other comments.
Hang on, what have I missed? Why am I suddenly popular?
Well, I feel bad for calling you the CE bomb when Mark
Listeners, you
tricked
should have
me.
heard it earlier. It was really interesting.
I didn't trick him. He did it all of his own free will.
Oh, hang on. Let me catch up with the chat.
Don't go there.
Clearly, you didn't read it. All right. We're going to, whilst Rob catches up and we wait for it, there we go. Let's get into listener comms. So you can send your questions and comments to us via Twitter and on Facebook, or you can send us an email, and if you attach an MP3 or voicemail, to talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. As many people did this week, we've got 3 voicemails to get to this week. But first, we've got an article that has been sent to us by Mark S. It should be said that this does contain potential mild spoilers for The Last Jedi. So should we just
speculative, right?
Well, there's some stuff in here that I think it comes from Ryan, so it doesn't land on any detail in particular, but it kind of nods toward in a direction. But we'll get to that. I don't think I would bury it under the spoiler wall if we had a problem, but I don't think so. So Mark says, greetings, gents. I have some tasty tidbits for you from a local newspaper insert called Parade. First, Ryan Johnson states that not one frame of the film was touched or altered after the loss of Carrie Fisher. The article doesn't make it clear if this is a new interview or a quote from an old one, but it does seem to be new, which would mean that when it's released, the film will be the very same film that was finished when Carrie was still with us. The second is a bit about lightsabers, saying that we may see a new hue. I think this can be Luke's, as in colour of the lightsaber. I think this can be Luke's. Can this mean that Luke may have a white lightsaber, much like Ahsoka? Well, that's all for now. I just wanted to say great job on the podcast, guys. I'll put photos in a magazine in the email. I've downloaded the photographs and I've put them in the show notes. You can grab those from the description of this episode. So there's a couple of bits like Lightsaber 101. There's the throwaway thing in there about how the sound of the lightsaber was made, but it does say underneath, Rey uses a blue lightsaber, Kylo Ren uses a red, and director Ryan Johnson hints that we may see a new hue in The Last Jedi.
Is that like the new Shmoo?
It's like the new Shmoo, the incredible new Shmoo. Yeah, so I'm calling it that we are going to get a white lightsaber in this movie.
Not new.
We haven't had
not new. We've had them before.
Not
in the movies.
Not in the sagas, but we've had them.
Yeah.
I don't know what does he mean new to us?
I think so.
Does he mean new to saga? Does he mean new to us? Does he mean new?
Maybe it'll be a rainbow
new to
one.
the movies.
There'll be a gay Jedi. That'd be cool.
Maybe. Well, yeah.
Maybe
Why not?
that would be making a statement in the film for
He'll
sure.
come on going, I'm super, thanks for asking.
I probably wouldn't do a caricature version.
I know
Yeah.
this is a
I
tangent.
think they'd be
Can I
super
just-
serial, you guys.
Can
Oh,
I
here,
mention
here we go.
something?
Tangent warning. I should have a little thing that plays, shouldn't I? Go on.
Crazy.
Sorry, did anyone see that idiot Republican guy have a go at the poor guy next to him in the middle of a session because the guy touched his arm to ask for a bit more time, and the chairman, who is the homophobe, said, I'm sorry, I'm not batting on your side. Don't touch my arm again. I'm married and I'm happily married.
That's
Did
not
anyone
a
see that?
tangent. That's a totally different planet.
Yeah, and
No,
also,
but we were talking about rainbows.
Oh, okay.
I thought it
Yeah.
was relevant.
only
Yeah.
Democrats can tell
I could
jokes,
not
guys.
believe it.
You thought it was an elephant.
What now?
Who said what with a who now?
What?
Fuzzy Wuzzy was
It
a
was a
woman.
woman.
As he was a woman. Yeah.
All right, let's see if we can get this thing back up on its
Anyway,
wheels.
yeah, I know what you mean, Steve, and I don't know what you mean, but whatever.
I tweeted the poor guy who's a victim of that stupid comment and
It's
said
a-
that other guy needs to address his sexuality because he obviously needs to come out.
It's a
Chewie
heartwarming
gonna-
story for sure.
Maybe
Steve.
we
gonna
should
start
steer
saying,
this away
"Ah."
before we hit this ship into the rocks.
Yeah,
It's
back
all
to
right.
back to
Just a
Star
thought.
Wars. There'll be
Yeah,
novel.
just a
We
thought.
say that.
Just a thought.
So this whole thing, I spoke about this on the TSW Daily the other day about this lightsaber business, and
It's going to be Snoke's and it's going to be black.
well, that is an option. There's been some semantic arguments online about hue doesn't necessarily mean color. It means color. It doesn't necessarily include black or white, even though black and white are the extreme ends of all colors, the color spectrum. But
Yeah.
I don't believe that when Ryan Johnson makes a statement like this, I don't believe that he's playing those sorts of games and excluding you choosing the word hue because it excludes black or white. I think that would include black and white. I think it's more colloquial use of the word hue. And I think when he says it's going to be new, I think he's excluding canon, video games, anything that went before, the fluffy toy that you might have won at the fair. It's about what's on screen in movies.
Orange.
And we've only had 4 colours on screen in
Yeah,
movies.
we've never had orange. Which ones have we had? Hang on.
They're
We've
not going to
had,
do black.
we've had
'Cause you can't have
blue,
a crystal, can
we've
you? and
had
then have
blue,
black. It just-
green, we've had red for the Sith, and we've
Purple.
had purple.
Yellow. We've had yellow in Attack of the Clones in the big Jedi Coliseum.
Was there definitely yellow? I don't remember seeing yellow.
Barely
Yeah,
sure there was.
Yeah,
Someone,
I'll double check.
Someone would need to go back to the tape.
I'm googling it now.
Google
Yeah,
it.
look,
Google it, and I'm going to need to see a photograph in the chat as well. So, yeah, I think that this is going to be now. There were 2 options going into today, and I won't. I'm not going to go any further than that. I thought it could have been black, and that would have been like potentially the Darksaber, but I don't know how the Darksaber works. I don't know enough about it to sort of comment on that. Or white, which I think is going to be Luke's, and that's why I think we've been introduced to the concept of bled crystals, healed crystals, and all that stuff.
right.
But that means I have to put a lot of faith in the story group, which I tend not to do.
Actually, looking at the pictures, I'm not 100% sure now.
No yellow.
Oh, the very
I found something that says
it's a-
blue is bravery, yellow is spying,
what?
red is aggression, and green is
That's
wisdom.
that's
Just
all
found that.
legends.
I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that's canon.
It's all
That's
legends
canon
now.
anymore.
The
It's tricky. I think what's thrown me off is green ones in different positions on a sand
Right.
Coliseum.
yeah.
That's probably what's thrown me off here. Yeah, I can't now see one unless there's something in a montage of shots in Attack of the Clones that's not in this screenshot. But looking at the screenshot, it seems unlikely.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Oh,
I don't think that they're going to go with a trivial color. I don't think someone's going to suddenly have an orange lightsaber, or someone's going to have whatever pink lightsaber.
Well, Mace did
Yeah,
because he could.
Mace
I
did
found a
because
good one. Rock and paste. I'll put it in
That's
there.
another one. There's another one that's in Rebels as well. Yellow.
Oh, is there a yellow one in Rebels?
Yeah, what are they called?
Yeah,
the ones, the guys with the white
Jedi
masks.
Master Yoda.
Oh, the Temple Guard.
Temple guards. The ones in the hoods. They've got yellow lightsabers.
Yeah, well, there are Temple Guards in canon at the moment, but
There you go.
they tend to be rocking the red lightsabers these days.
Yeah, well, like I say, they're
What's
also
happened
in
to them?
Rebels, which is canon. So,
I don't know
There's
if the thing I just sent is actually any good because it's got that Jedi Master Yoda in the Phantom Menace
Not seen.
Use the yellow one, but it's not
Okay.
seen.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Yeah, that's brilliant. There's
Maybe
also
it's
one that
one
comes
scene.
out looking like a stretchy balloon to make animals with, but that's also not seen. So we can all do
Really?
stuff. We can all do stuff like that.
Amazing.
Yeah, so this I think is pretty exciting, and to me, it's paving the way for this
What
white
did,
lightsaber.
What did Anakin have?
Blue.
Blue and then
It's
green.
not there. It's not there.
Blue is the Skywalker lightsaber, isn't it?
So we haven't had orange or
No.
aqua.
Yellow's on the fence.
Yep.
We've had, I mean, the one that I've seen a picture of Ray using in an 8 looks almost white in itself. It's very.
It's just because it's
very
the
pale
blue lightsaber against the blue sky, which is what that's why the green lightsaber was created, because of that, the difficulty of doing that effect back in the day.
Yeah.
And they're doing it
Oh,
now,
you're
so yeah.
font of all knowledge, you, isn't you?
Well,
Roll today.
on the
See,
roll.
Chewie's got himself a
On a
parrot.
rock with a roll. Yeah, looking very piratey, isn't he, on the front
Oi,
cover, isn't it?
matey.
He's got a paw on his shoulder for reference, ladies and
Now would
gentlemen.
be the time to do your parrot joke. Your pirate joke.
No. No,
I just did it.
We've done jokes. Right, let's move on.
How old do you
I'm
think
80.
Chewbacca is?
I'm 80.
Goodness. Don't laugh. You're encouraging them, and
Rob, you
this
live your
podcast will
life.
take forever. Right, we're going to move on
Full
to
crack
Carlos, our first. Goodness me.
I'm going to time code that, Mark. I think there was an attempt to slip something in there. Oh my!
Oh,
Right.
my.
Right,
There wasn't. It's innocent. You don't need to time code Jack.
I don't
Take it off.
believe you.
Unwrite it.
I'm going to need to time code it, Stephen, and now I'm going to need to tidy it up.
Want
So,
to unwrite that.
right,
We'll
let's.
leave that in.
We're going to move on.
That was my
Goodness
fourth thing.
me, it's like honestly, what's harder, herding
Oh,
cats
my.
or herding Steve? I walked into that one, didn't I? All right, we're going to get a voicemail now from our dear friend Carlos Candido. I wonder what this could be about,
Hey.
Steve.
Hello, lads. My question this week is totally unprompted and is in regards to something new and completely spontaneous.
Oh, you.
I'd like to know from Stephen, what is your new opinion on The Force Awakens? Also, this latest time, Stephen, were you naked while you watched and thoroughly enjoyed The Force Awakens? On a scale of 1 to 2, how did you like The Force Awakens?
Two.
I'm awaiting your response with bated breath. The Force Awakens. Thank you all for the terrific work. I'm looking forward to all the Last Jedi content from the Commonwealth Network. May the Force Awakens be with you. Always. Carlos out.
Mark.
Yes,
Very
Stephen.
good. I'm going to sue the VIP group.
I don't think you have any grounds. But what is your answer? How much did you enjoy The Force Awakens when you just watched it again this week? And
You
everybody in the
said
VIP
all
To
group.
right.
me,
I'm
unbidden.
Look,
Yes.
I was naked. I'm always naked.
Okay, that's one part of
From
the
the
question
moment
answered.
I enter my house, I strip off my clothes and I'm naked because I'm into that.
So did it change the colour of your lightsaber? Is the question.
Ooh.
Is that what he said?
No.
I didn't hear that.
No, he wouldn't have known that much because we only just talked about
God.
it. He's good, but he's
It's
not that
so-
good. Probably
Look.
that good.
If I watched it again, I might not feel the same way.
Yeah.
But yes,
not now,
I did
anyway.
watch it, and I was waiting to feel the same sort of anger and disappointment and frustration that I always feel when I watch it. But I don't think I thought about watching it. I think I just turned it on, and I have to
Boom.
say, it was all right. It was quite good, and I did enjoy it. And the only thing that I still wound me up was the stupid Starkiller base sucking a whole sun.
Oh,
in.
there we go. The
But other than
positivity
that-
didn't last very long.
No. Other than that, I actually thought it was a good film. I will admit it.
Oh, well, there you
and
go.
Actually, it's now above all the prequels, and maybe above New Hope.
Really? What sort of
Yeah, because
madness
that's
is
my
that?
least favourite of the three anyway. I like
No,
Jedi,
you had
then
me there.
Empire, then Hope.
No, lost completely. I'm going to have you killed. I'm sorry.
Well, then you are lost.
All right.
But,
Carlos,
Carlos,
thank you so much. Yeah. Awesome.
That was fun.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy it, and I was naked.
Everybody in the VIP group got a look at that email. So it's.
No, you didn't.
I did, yes.
You can't steal my emails like that and hand them around willy-nilly.
I can
Technically,
do
it's his property when it goes in the
precisely
mailbox.
what I want.
You need to start putting disclaimers about confidential contents if you want to go down that route, Stephen. That is a slippery slope, mate.
I was hoping that no one had remembered it because no one had said anything yet.
Well, just because you forgot, as soon as you click send, you forget. The rest of us have normal adult brains.
You know what it was?
Mine are adults, but yeah.
On a serious note, I felt that because I'd
Yourself.
I was like, I'm over all the preconceptions and all that now. It's an old film. Let's just watch it. And it's, I want to get ready for episode 8.
Watch it.
And it kind of did fit with the universe, and it hadn't up until that point. And it felt a lot more flowing and not so fractious that I felt it did before. So it was all right. Yeah, it was good.
This is setting up well for the Last Jedi, then, isn't it? Really?
Oh no, I'll almost certainly be disappointed with that. Don't worry.
Brilliant. That's the spirit going into it. Well done. All right, Carlos. Thank you so much for being such a good sport. That was awesome. Right, we
give
got
it a score.
Oh yeah. So you on a scale of 1 to 2, Stephen. How
what
much
was the 1 to 2?
That's the scale.
That's what of how good it was.
Yes.
So 1 being less than 50% and 2 being over 50%.
It doesn't have to be qualified. It just needs a score.
2.
Oh, there you go.
Excellent. There we go. So you agree it's the best film we've ever
My
seen?
praise indeed.
Scale. The worst scale ever invented.
I praise indeed.
Yeah. Also implied in that statement is that Jim Cameron sucks. Let's move on with the Jared McIntyre question, shall we? Paul, would you like to take Jared's email?
Yeah. Excuse me. Happy Star Wars season, gents. Right. One of my favourite parts of re-entering fandom. Am I reading that right? Of re-entering fandom post Awakens. Is the conversation and speculation that takes place while waiting for the upcoming films. I was too young to engage in any rumours and speculation prior to the Phantom Menace release, but I've heard some pretty far-out theories from eager folk who have been waiting over 15 years for a Star Wars entry. So, in hindsight, never heard of it. What was the wildest plot rumour received or heard prior to Episode 1 hitting the theatre? What is a wild rumour for The Last Jedi that you hope is correct? And what is a popular rumour for The Last Jedi that you hope is wrong? I hope Saint Palpatine.
What?
I'm kidding. Senator Palpatine.
Oh.
Makes all of you galactic. Yeah.
No, I think you mean Saint Palpatine.
I think it does mean Saint Palpatine. Sorry. I hope. I'm going to say Senator. Anyway, Palpatino makes all of your galactic wishes come true. Insert Yule log and chimney.
He said log. He said log.
Jared from North Carolina. So we're going to break this down. Wild rumor or theory about Episode 1. What?
What?
I think we've got some
joking on a Christmas pudding.
I think we've got some Palpatine in our midst, ladies and gents.
The hangover.
And of coal in your stocking. You won't get the first galactic empire. Your stocking.
Anyway, shush.
La 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 and all that.
What was the wildest plot rumor you heard about Episode 1 hitting the theatre?
Well, I'd heard that Obi-Wan was going to be retconned into a clone designation, and that Obi-Wan would also have, like, there'd be other Jedi out there, Obi-2, and they'd all look like Alec Guinness, which I've also put at the end of that on the show notes, that I thought it was mental.
I don't know about much of Wild Rumours because I don't listen to this show at all when I'm in it. But
and also we didn't do it. Yeah, we didn't do it for the prequels.
You're talking about where?
We can.
No, I mean, what I think is going to happen is that someone mentioned Palpatine being Rey's lineage in her lineage. I think that's highly likely.
We're talking about Episode 1,
This
Steve.
is the Phantom Menace, mate.
That is a wild rumour for Last Jedi that you hope is correct.
You've missed. Right, Steve, we know you don't listen to the show after it's recorded, but whilst you're actually having the conversation, you're listening, I hope.
Great.
I'm trying to multitask. I'm eating cookies.
Brilliant. Podcasting 101. Do everything else as well.
I'm only here for the comedy value, and I haven't got a lot of that.
Yeah.
All right. Paul?
Sorry.
Wild rumours from Episode 1?
I can't recall too many. It's not wild rumours with Episode 1. I can remember just being told to look forward to the lizard versus cyborg battle at the end. And so when obviously all the things started coming over the hill, and then the gun came along, I was like, yes! And then it turned into a bit of a comedy farce. But I don't recall anything particularly wild.
I've no recollection of thinking anything other than when I walked out, which is
you shock me and appall me.
You could have ended the sentence at thinking.
Rob, do you recall any wild rumours?
Not for Phantom Menace. I remember around the time of Revenge of the Sith, there was a discussion about whether it might be back to Outbound Flight, because in the Legends they had the Outbound Flight project, which is where a lot of the Jedi got kind of taken out of commission.
Right.
And there was a sense that might turn up in the film. Obviously, we didn't get that. And I mean, I would have been all right with it, but I will also understand why they didn't. But that was one. That's one that springs to mind. In terms of Phantom Menace stuff, nothing kind of occurs to me.
No, it was a while ago now, though, wasn't it? So it's
right.
That was the only thing I could really remember.
It was a long time ago. Although we were still old a long time ago.
True. What about let's get to Stephen's topic then. The wild rumour about The Last Jedi that you hope is right.
Is mine valid then?
If you hope that's right.
I hope it's right. I think that would be awesome, and I think it's been floated about a bit, hasn't it?
Certainly, yeah. But I think everything has at this point. So many options are out there now.
Yeah.
I've put. I hope that my Darth Vader lightsaber theory is correct.
Okay. Which would remind us?
Is the book, The Perfect Weapon by Delilah S. Dawson, is about the retrieval of something connected to Vader, and they never reveal in the book what it is. A lot of people feel that it's the helmet. But I think from the storytelling it couldn't be the helmet. I think it's the lightsaber. And I think that made its way back to Luke, and then he restored the crystal, and that is the white lightsaber that I think we'll see in The Last Jedi. So that's the theory I'm hoping, even though I don't think it will ever be revealed on screen directly. I think that Luke igniting that white lightsaber, perhaps seeing Vader's old hilt in there somewhere, will be enough to piece all of these disparate elements of canon together.
Great word.
Thanks.
That is good. Yeah, I like that word.
It's a great word for Palpatine to say, go, Rob.
Disparate.
That's
watching my former pupil. Lightsaber reduced to a common prop.
You stared at my son's helmet long enough.
You can't hurt him all the time, because then we miss out on stuff like that.
I know. It's
tricky, isn't it?
It's when to give him enough rope. Paul, let's throw it to you.
I've got nothing.
Rob, let's throw it to you.
No, I do. Well, it's not a wild rumour. I mean, obviously, it's the whole Rey Kylo path. I hope it's right, and I hope they both kind of do a crossover situation kind of thing. I think you're right. I think that'd be enormous fun.
I'm good with that. I think it would give a tremendous amount of depth to the storytelling and up the stakes significantly for episode 9.
Yeah,
I really want the main duel to be him fighting her.
But roles reversed.
Current roles reversed. That'd be awesome.
Next movie, I think.
And
I'd be surprised if we see it here. Do you know, if that is right, what both you chaps just suggested about the switcheroo, if that is right, that will, I think, probably be the cliffhanger. Is that
absolutely
that we'll see Rey potentially even. I mean, how cool would it be to see her with the yellow eyes? And then that be where the film ends.
I don't know about that.
You'd cry, Steve.
I just think you can't fudge the division between light and dark too much, or it becomes like everyone can be bad, everyone can be good, and it's all. Then you're into the grey Jedi. I know, but I just think there's age-old things in film that people use in order to get the feeling of redemption and that lovely feeling you get with films, and you have to keep a clear division. Even if people go off the rails, they always come back. And I think to make Rey bad, it's like, really, you just are up for, you know.
Well, what's the alternatives?
It's great drama. Steve. It's great drama, Steve.
The alternative is she's squeaky clean all the way through the trilogy. Why do I invest in that?
Yeah.
As a cinema goer?
No, not like Luke. Luke was all over the map, and it's only afterwards when you look back and you watch the trilogy.
Really. He never did anything bad.
He was.
He choked a Gamorrean.
He choked a Gamorrean god.
Bouncer.
The Gamorrean god are peaceful folk.
The choky, throaty thing is a Jedi weapon.
No,
that's fine.
It's a joke, mate. You've never seen anybody else in the films do it except
the bad guys.
Bad guys.
All the signifiers were there. The black.
He didn't kill him. He just knocked him out.
Yeah, but he said, it's okay.
He killed the Rancor.
I didn't murder that bouncer. I just punched him until he went unconscious and left him in a fountain. Like,
there must have been someone who's done that. Did Obi-Wan
sounds like I'm speaking too much from experience. I'm really not.
Did Qui-Gon Jinn or Obi-Wan ever do anything like that? They never killed anyone.
What?
Never.
No, it was all droids.
It's different when it's self-defense versus
you can't argue.
Luke strangling to help.
Luke wandered very, very close to the dark side by design. We were supposed to be worried for him. You know, it's the same as when we watched the prequels and we were seeing Anakin sort of take that step. You know, Padme even has the line, doesn't she? You're breaking my heart. She was speaking for the audience. How can we stop this guy from doing this stuff? And now we've come in halfway through Ben Solo's journey. That journey for Ben Solo, we've come halfway through and he's this fully formed bad guy. And I think we're going to see him come back. And with Rey,
we've come back from killing Han.
You can.
If you can come back from wiping out a class of kids, you can come back from anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't believe. Like,
it will be
Darth
Steve.
Vader came back, but
it will be reframed. It will be the steps that Han took to try and reach his son, and the words that he left his son with. You don't need that mask anymore. You come home, all of that stuff. It will reframe the loss of Han as a heroic act on his part, not not sacrifice.
So a great question would be: do you think Han knew that Kylo was going to kill him when he said, "I'd do anything for you"?
That's a great question.
I think we're going to get the answer to that.
Maybe. I don't think that is the case. I think that he genuinely thought he could reach his son, but I think he did reach his son. It's just taken until now for Ben to realise what he's done. I think when he's going to be faced with the potential of killing his mother, that he'll realise what he's done, and then he'll start to question his affiliation with the First Order. So it will.
You've won me over.
When he starts to make that journey back. And when you see him welcomed back by the people that he loves, you'll start to see that the death of Han Solo as a more heroic act, because it woke Ben Solo up, who was trapped inside Kylo Ren, trapped inside this persona he's created for himself. Now, there's going to be no loyalty from Snoke shown to Kylo Ren. He's going to do exactly what his father said. His father said he'll toss you aside when he's used you. When he's got everything he can from you, he'll cast you at one side. And Ben will start to see that, and it will be the return. So whilst we're watching that stuff, we're going to take one eye off of Rey, and she is going to plummet, I think. We're coming into the Anakin end of the story with her, like child Anakin, pod racer Anakin. Like, we meet her, and she's bright and sunny and this hero, and everyone loves her, and people are out naming their kids after her. And then all of a sudden she's going to drop down into the abyss. The question is, will they bring her back by the end of the trilogy? Great film. Or will she remain a principal villain for the rest of it? It's going to be fascinating to see what they do. See if they're willing to take those chances. I think that's a huge chance to take.
I concur.
Did everyone throw out their
No, that was only my first call on the second question.
All right, Rob. And you agreed, but do you have something else, a wild rumour that you'd like to see be right?
No, I mean, my one I want to see is I don't want Luke to leave Ahch-To, but I want him to be alive at the end.
Okay.
I want him to basically... I'm really, really keen for them to get some sort of confrontation, because he's sort of, fiddled the truth, or he's kept something from her, and maybe even tries the certain point of view tack, and she just doesn't have any of it.
From a certain point of view.
Yeah.
I think I'm with Rob. I don't think they'll kill Luke off because of the fact that we've lost poor Carrie and we lost Han. I think it's too much, even for diehard fans, old ones.
I don't see them killing him. I think I see him coming back for episode 9 because they've run out of options, and he's like, all right, fine, I'll help. I don't see him
The
being
Resistance, you mean, not the filmmakers? Yeah.
not the filmmakers. No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's dark, Mark, don't it?
Yeah, but it's it's important to sort of clarify
but,
that for people listening. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I want him to end up on Octo at the end of the film. Maybe come back in maybe come back in episode 9. I think it's only natural that he would, because maybe Rey does fall, and maybe he's the only one who they think can bring her back.
Yes.
In episode 9, so that's an option.
It's a moment.
Darth Vader know what you've got for Christmas, Rob?
Because he bought it for me, presumably.
No, he felt your presence.
Tish.
The last time I leave the list in easy reach.
Make your Amazon wish list private. Okay, let's get into this last bit then. A wild rumor from The Last Jedi that we hope is wrong. I've put mine as, I hope that the rumor that Leia is incapacitated for a large portion of the movie is. I did put that in mine as well.
Is that wild?
I
just realised we're not really doing anything wild, are we?
No, but I find it. Yeah, it's not wild. It's not a wild rumor, but it's certainly
So
one
we need
that
to
I
start
hope
the
is
whole
wrong.
question all over again.
Okay, everybody.
No, it doesn't really matter.
Phantom
Same-
Menace.
Same thing.
Back to ones, people. 0 out.
I think
Enemy
Mark's
lights.
right. I think Leia is in prison, and that woman's put her there. That horrible old woman from Jurassic Park.
I love her.
Paul.
The very excessive possible bromance between Poe and Finn.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Paul. That's a very, very good one. And topical after the Twitter thing, the tirade in the Republican Party earlier on.
Excellent. Tying it back to a point we wish never happened. And Rob. No, I can't edit it out.
No, but we want to be open to things like that, don't we?
You do.
Inclusive, and I think it's vile. Excuse my French. Time code. Sorry.
For God's sake! This is why I don't
It's
let
not
you
relevant.
have free reign.
And this is why we don't tend to put it in the show notes on the Star Wars podcast.
Because people like the fact that it can be a little bit loopy and frilly and tangenty.
There's limits.
Literally, no one likes that.
Let's have a vote.
You talk about gay sex
most
now.
of your listeners will like things to go off the rails now and then, make it exciting, a bit different.
That's
No.
what we've got.
100%.
We've got the After Dark side for that.
They like to watch me
There's a whole
try to
show.
rein you in. Yeah.
No, I think you
That's-
can get too stuck in your ways,
I think
young
you can
Rob.
get stuffed.
Okay. Let's try and get back. Honestly,
Please put your answers on a postcard.
Right. shh.
don't put your answers anywhere. Put them in a bottle and launch them into the sea. Right.
Last bottle.
Where did we get to? Rumours that we hope are wrong. Rob.
You don't want to be wrong. Yeah.
Another voicemail.
No,
Is
you're
there a
too-
rumour
no,
about
you're too
another
far.
Turn up.
Steve, I'll get Jen just to check, see if you've had a stroke. One side of your face should have dropped.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I can lift my arm and hold it there.
Okay, it's the wrong arm.
Oh, take your time. We're only on a live podcast.
Yeah. Well, it's nice
Not
that you
live.
finally realised. Yeah, I mean the bromance thing would irritate me if it's overdone. I don't know. Maybe the idea that
Frenchies.
no, I mean unless they work it into the plot somehow, that I'm fine with it then.
Ooh,
Like,
my.
this has to make sense. That's all.
Has
I
anyone
don't
ever
ask for,
touched your wee wee?
what happened to your voice, Poe?
Sorry, I'm a little hoarse.
What happened to you, Poe? You become a little horse.
Oh,
I'm a tiny Falvier.
I'm hung like a horse. That's what I meant to say.
All right, should we give this question 2 in the back of the head and move on?
I can't think of any wild rumours that I've heard. This is the problem I've got.
Well, this is the popular rumour now we're on.
Do you
not
know
a
what?
wild one.
I don't know if I want the Knights of Ren to turn up on Arcto.
Oh, really?
oh, I want that.
Only because they can't walk away from it.
No.
And we've only seen them in a
Bit wet
glimpse.
feet.
It's not enough. We want, I think most people I've spoken to want more Knights of Ren. And if they turn up on Arcto, that's pretty much their number punched.
Well, they could escape again, like the stormtroopers and that did when they landed at Maz's palace, whatever it's called.
I mean, I suppose so, but then if they're up against Luke and Rey in a fight to the death, you'd kind of think that one of them's not walking away from it. And we know that, Rey and Luke are almost certainly going to, because they're in the rest of the film.
But don't we already know they're going to, or something's going to happen because of the set that we saw with the tree on it and the stuff about climbing to the top? And
it doesn't have to be an actual... I mean, we're seeing a lot of visions and stuff, so it doesn't necessarily have to be as clear-cut as it's definitely happening.
These are the wild rumours, though, that people have been seen on set as the Knights of Ren fighting with people dressed like Luke and Rey, and they set the false tree on fire and all that sort of stuff. They are kind of wild rumours. So if that is something that qualifies as being something you don't want to see, I'd say that's a perfectly adequate answer, because it will be quite divisive, I think. Yeah, I think you're right, though.
Yeah.
If the Knights of Ren rock up, the chances are they're going to have their butts handed to them by Luke. But one would imagine Kylo will escape, so maybe at least some of them get away with him. And maybe that will be yet another failure for Snoke to get the ump about.
Yeah.
But Jared, I think you'll notice that we made answering these questions look tremendously difficult.
Way harder than it was.
Yeah, way harder than it should have been. Paul, you answered yours, didn't you? Yeah, let's move on. Thank you, Jared. Thank you very much. Yeah, you did.
Yes, let's move on to the next voicemail.
Yes. I wonder what this is. Don't worry, Steve. Carlos was the only one. This is a voicemail from Robcast.
Hey guys, it's Rob from the TSW Roundtable and TSW Comics. I just have a quick question leading up to The Last Jedi. There's been lots of conversation and rumors about what's going to happen to our main characters. Are we going to lose any of our main characters? Of course, with the passing of Carrie Fisher, we are all bracing ourselves to lose our Princess Leia, but there's one other character. Do you think there's a chance, possibly, maybe in this movie, or possibly in Episode 9, that they might kill off and destroy our beloved Millennium Falcon? Obviously in a big, huge, heroic battle and sacrificing the Falcon for the greater good. But just something that's crossed my mind. And what do you guys think? I look forward to hearing your answer, and see you on the roundtable.
Nice one, Rob. Thanks so much. Will they destroy the Falcon?
That's just popped something else into my head. If the life debt is paid, then what's Chewie like after that point? If he's the kind who's going to go charging into battle and the only one who was ever reining him in was Han, is it just the Falcon we're going to lose, or is he going to be on board?
Oh.
You imagine if he plunges it, if he sort of drives it into the silencer or something.
I think there's a practical thing there, Rob.
What's that?
Even with CGI, you can't easily carry on characters that are physically human. But with Chewie, it doesn't really matter who's inside the costume. You can carry on with that character, and it's too iconic.
Sure, you can.
What I mean?
I get what you're saying, but I don't see why the fact that you can put somebody else in the suit means you can't ever kill the character off in the story.
I don't think it would serve. He's kind of a cuddly icon, like the Millennium Falcon. I don't think either of them would. I think you lose everything about Star Wars then, don't you?
No, because you got the Porg there to come in and tread on his grave, and and they seem poised to do that. They've already started mustering on his ship.
Are too iconic. I think they wouldn't be silly enough to get rid of either of those things. I like the idea.
About Han Solo, I'm sure.
What do you do without Millennium Falcon? I mean, what is Star Wars without any of the key characters and the Millennium Falcon and Chewie? It's just the Force that separates it from anything else, really, isn't it?
Pretty much.
There are other things. There are archetypes, aren't they? So they'll be able to give us new archetypes. The Falcon is sort of one of the most identifiable Star Wars elements, like the hum of the lightsaber or Vader's breathing. I really, really don't want to see them destroy it. I don't know if they would.
No.
I don't think they will.
There's also merchandising to think about. You kill off that ship and you've lost half your Lego, half your other stuff.
It's only a ship type. It's not the only one in the galaxy.
No,
yeah, there are at least 3.
It's the only Millennium Falcon in the galaxy.
Well, how do you know there isn't just Millennium Falcon B?
Well,
There are at least 3 YT-1300s in the Star Wars universe at the time of the prequels. So,
and we see one in
there's
Sith.
a good chance we see.
Yeah,
I
but
think
if you're going to get another ship, you might as well keep the Millennium Falcon if you're going to replace it with the same ship.
Okay, big rewind
same
then.
ship. Get another one. Get a cuter one with fluff, like a Porg.
Have you guys ever read anything
You're Porg obsessed.
canon,
Millennium Porg.
legends, or whatever, on when Han and Chewie first meet?
No,
Yes.
I haven't.
Okay, I mean, we might get more information, obviously, based on the Solo movie. But
We're definitely going to, I think.
what was Chewie flying before this? What was Han flying before this? Something happened before the Falcon.
Chewie was a slave, so...
Was he?
Yeah.
So he was
So
flying.
Han busted him out from slavery, and Han, when he busted Chewie out of slavery, I think he was an Imperial officer at the time, so he wouldn't have had any ship of, he probably would have boosted some sort of shuttle or something before he escaped.
Okay.
Iderium? Question mark? Obviously not. But
Well, it just kept it on and stashed away to give to the rebellion later on.
oh, it's
Here, have
really
this.
handy. They go. It's like, we're going to go and break through an Imperial blockade. He's like, it's funny you should mention that.
Yeah.
I've been trying to shift my old ship.
Yeah,
my old shuttle.
to the big yellow storage system.
Big yellow storage galaxy.
So what do you think, Paul? Do you think they would jettison something as iconic as the Falcon from Star Wars?
Yeah, bring it on. Bring it on. Yeah, seriously. It's about moving the trilogy or the story forward, right? I mean,
True.
we're already, for want of a better word, in love with a whole new bunch of characters that you don't think anything of now, other than that they've almost you've thought of them as always being there, even if it's only been one movie. But they're now innately part of it. And I mean, prior to Finn and Rey running down the desert and turning around and saying, "Not that piece of junk," I kind of forgot about the Falcon because I was in a new element of story. So turn around and it's like, oh yeah, I remember now because it was in the trailer. But to be honest, if it hadn't turned up throughout the whole film, I don't think I'd have cared.
You know what else they could do as well is they could take it out of commission in Episode 8 and then bring it back refitted with with some new parts. Keep the kind of the core of the chassis and then refit it with the closest parts they can get in Episode 9, and it's the same
down
but
the side.
Yeah, but then it's the same but different.
Clean, tidy interior.
Yeah.
Who do you think will own the Falcon then? Rey?
I feel like it should be Chewie. I feel like it's a little bit harsh on Chewie if Rey jumps to the front of the line.
Can I give you one of those wild rumors?
Yeah.
All right.
Either at the end of this or the beginning of 9, Chewie's simply going to fly off into the distance and take it back to Lando.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Just sort of disappearing off into the sunset. Because Chewie's got no relationship with anything else outside Han. So we're going to lose. We're going to lose Chewie. So.
Yeah, no, could be.
Copyright. Heard it here first.
So we lose both.
Oh. Yeah, could be. But we do it in a way where it's not
all three. Because to be honest, Falcon's a character, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, to a point, yeah.
Wow. Good one. Okay.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Owen Wilson.
Wow. Okay, let's move on. Rob Cast, thank you very much for the voicemail, sir. Steve, do you want to take Katie's question for this week?
Sure.
We missed one last week.
So, from Katie Stubbs. Hey guys, I have got my question for this week. What is your favourite Han Solo moment?
Oh, I love these ones.
Mine would have to be his introduction, the shootout with Greedo. It says so much about his cocktail, arrogant but cool character. I just love it. So, what are your favourite Han Solo mementos?
That's easy.
Go on then, Rob. Paul.
It's broad, but it's easy. It's basically absolutely everything he does in The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I second that emotion. But I'm gonna target on one in particular. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Would you like to try and narrow that down a little bit, actually, Paul? I mean, I agree with you.
No, I mean the whole comedy element of trying to get out of Hoth, the whole action element of going through the asteroid field, the comedy element of landing inside the space slug, and then sitting on the backpack of the Star Destroyer, going to Bespin, being the welcomed hero and the old friend, to being the hero that tries to kill Vader, gets shot off, then being tortured and frozen. I mean, come on, it's really hard. There's too many tick boxes there that were all completely nailed, and because of that, he completely stole the whole film from everybody else.
Well, he did a good job, didn't he, of making you watch that thing while there was something very, very deep going on over there with Luke and Vader.
Well, I was of an age time where I didn't really care so much.
You didn't notice that then, no? Works on multiple levels. Very good. I like your answer, Paul. Well done. Rob?
Yeah. So Return of the Jedi, and it's the moment where he's crawling through the sort of undergrowth, trying to get round behind a stormtrooper, and as he's walking up behind him, he snaps a twig and alerts everything. Because for me, that is, I've got friends. We kind of shared our feelings on this. And we all kind of came to a couple of us came to consensus. That is Star Wars. That is the kind of, it's space piracy and swashbuckling and Saturday morning cartoon stuff, but it's also got these moments of things work out despite the fact that something stupid happens.
Yeah, just that snap of the twig, right?
Yeah, it's one of those wonderful moments that and when you play
Sound of Thunder, isn't it?
Yeah, when you play the RPGs and stuff, there's almost moments like that in the game as well, and it sort of, and as a result, it all feels very thematic because Star Wars is equally about those kind of I messed up, but it worked out okay. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah,
kind of. Situations.
The look on his face as well when that happens. He's like, this could only happen to me.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Just brilliant. That's a great moment. Steve, it's when he dies, isn't it?
No, yeah,
love that.
I haven't really got a favourite. I like them all. I like when he finds Luke with the tauntaun and puts him inside. I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
That's good coming from a vegan.
The tauntaun was dead
and not real,
and not real,
not in any way real.
Hey, what?
Sorry, mate, we're spoiling this left, right, and centre.
Unicorns aren't real nets.
So yeah, everything really except his death. But even that was kind of thing. Yes,
I'm going to choose.
It's like a different Steve.
No, I think it is a different Steve, and I'm going to choose an Empire moment as well, and. I've been bouncing around all over that movie trying to, because obviously what Paul said is very, very true. You turn the camera on Harrison Ford in that film and you're getting gold. But I'm going to go sentimental on this one, and I'm going to call I Love You, I Know as being my favourite Han moment because it is just so important for those two. It's not arrogant. It's so important for those two characters, and it's a moment almost of weakness for the two of them, and I just think it's fantastic. It's Were
they seeing each other in real life at that point, or was it before that?
It was on the first film, wasn't
it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it's the first film. So no, but yeah, fantastic moment.
No, it must have been hard to say if they'd finished a relationship. They probably weren't looking at each other though. At the time.
She was probably still quite.
They are actors. They're kind of paid to say things they don't mean.
They have to say the lines on the page.
Yep, they don't come up with those, Steve.
That's just terrible.
Well, actually, ironically, he did come up with that one, didn't he?
Syrian.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
You shall not pass. Right, we've got another voice. Katie, thank you very much for that. I'm really enjoying your favourite moment question. Keep them coming.
Yeah. We also really quickly just appreciate the line. Oh, you're cold.
Oh yeah, that's right. In the Force Awakens.
Oh really? You're cold?
That's in episode 7. Yeah.
Really good.
I feel like the best. The best comedy bit in episode 7 is when Finn goes, "What are you doing? Why do you keep doing that?" Like with his face.
Oh yeah.
He sees Ray behind. I actually laughed. I'm like, bloody hell! I'm
softening.
Going weird.
I also like the we'll just use the Force. That's not how it works.
Force works.
Yeah.
What does he know? All right, let's move on. Thank you, Katie. Let's move on to our final voicemail this week. It's from James Weibel.
Hey, fellas, this is James Weibel. Thought I'd send you an audio this time. I had an idea. What if there is so much power in the balance that it's almost impossible for a novice to control? So a Jedi would have to turn to Sith and then come back into the balance in order to handle all the power that is there. Otherwise, it would start tearing things apart, like Luke with his academy or Rey with the stone. And then once she is captured by Snoke, as he's torturing her, she grabs a hold of the only power that she really knows, which is that point that almost pulls her in when she's meditating. And she is the one that destroys the Ultra Mega Star Destroyer Dreadnought. I'd love to hear you guys break that down, tear it apart. Talk to you later.
Nice one. Thank you, James.
Thanks, Seth Rogen.
So what do we make of...
Great. He's got a great the most
voice.
Amazing...
What was the breakdown on that, Mark?
We get really
Sorry, can you...
I didn't break it down because I go into the voicemails as cold as possible.
I'll go last.
Do we think the...
Ditto.
Do we think the force is...
No, hang on. That's not how last works.
Do we think... Do we think the force is so powerful that force user would need to be forced into a position, like go full dark side in order to come back? A bit like, I think it's kind of like the path that Anakin took. Really, his abilities.
So it's almost like a pendulum.
So it pushes him so far into the dark side, and then it can get control over it, wrestle it, and come back. Is that where we're going to see Rey? And do you think that would lead to her bringing down the Supremacy Snoke Super Mega Star Destroyer? That bit is a little bit... what was that game? Force Unleashed.
Yeah. Force Unleashed. Yeah.
Might be a little bit too Force Unleashed for my tastes, but
I think that, you know, like from what their powers are, the lightning and all the rest of it. Obviously, the dark side is visually more powerful and probably actually more powerful, but doesn't have the cleverness of the light side. So I think it's probably more attractive, and I think, like Paul said, you probably swing into it and you're hooked, but then you can't take it, and you end up realizing you made a mistake and go back. I don't know. It seems transient. I
do like what you said about intelligence. Actually, that's really, really interesting, because I think if that's the case, because it's being done out of anger and hatred, you're not so concentrated, right? Possibly.
Yeah.
So you might have a point there, mate. I hate saying that out loud.
Well, there's a first time for everything.
And you always do it when you're recording as well, so it's recorded for posterity.
Right, can I go back to Googling now?
The only thing with that intelligent thing is I wouldn't discount Palpatine's intelligence, because he certainly was smart enough.
Maneuvered the whole galaxy to do what he was doing.
Yeah.
Trump would be considered intelligent.
For goodness sake, Steve, stop banging the tambourine for an evening. Please.
I've got a tambourine.
Metaphor.
He's got two. It's
What's the matter, boo-boo?
What's the metaphor? Shush.
The whole business with the Sith and the Jedi, I think the Jedi's upper hand would be their empathy, not necessarily intelligence, because I think there's intelligence on both sides. Some of the Sith we've seen, like Maul, seem like the blunt instrument, but Sidious was the guy in the background working everything out. He was the brains, and the Jedi fell for everything. So does that mean that he's
I think they're
smarter
good
than them?
schemers. I think they're good schemers, and perhaps you need intelligence for that. Whereas the light side and the Jedi, that they sit down and think about stuff, and that's probably gets them in loads of trouble, doesn't it? Particularly with Order 666 and God knows what else.
Did you just make one up?
What was it then? Order 66.
66, yeah. 666 is like they go down in list of priority. So by the time you get down to like 650s, it's all about like uniform and stuff.
That Order 666 was him
666
substituting pork balls with chicken balls.
Yeah. You're lucky I got the numbers right at all.
This is true.
Order 666 was no canteen on any battle station can serve the same meal twice in a row within the space of a consecutive week.
No pork balls twice in a row.
To just like daringly go back to James' question for a second, if we're talking about Rey's, the thing that's tempting Rey, the thing that's calling to Rey through the Force, if that gets a grip on her, will she temporarily lose herself to it and then use the power it gives her to bring herself back? Now, there's hints at some of this in a recent Darth Vader comic, and it's a moment from Shadows of the Empire that I've called out a few times in the past, where he's kind of using the Force to repair himself And when he repairs himself, he starts to feel joy, which pulls him back to the light side, which makes the healing go away. And he's trapped in this sort of infinite loop of pain where he can't get the results he wants because he can't stay powerful enough. If Rey gets sucked into this dark side and loses herself to it temporarily, do you think she might end up in a position to marshal all of that strength that the dark side gives her to defeat everything around her and force her way back? Is that what James means by destroy the supremacy and, level up, get this huge, powerful blast?
I don't know. My kind of feeling on it is if that sort of thing happens, it's going to be because she can't control the power. Because I think that's what's happening in the trailer when you see the rocks crack underneath their meditation spot.
And Luke's reaction.
Seeing something in the vision that she doesn't like and reacting instinctively.
Maybe feeding off of it.
Yeah, it's all about the raw strength. He talks about the raw strength. It's all about the fact that she's got power, but she can't harness it properly.
Mm-hmm.
She needs guidance, and she needs somebody to kind of help her control it, because otherwise she's basically a time bomb. And if something like that were to happen, if something were to destroy the supremacy in the film, I wonder if it might be a calculated move by Snoke to bring out the ultimate power that he sees in her.
Right. Could it also be that he'll use people she cares about to
Sure.
It's that sister moment. Push the right buttons to elicit the response you want.
Yeah.
If he's thinking that maybe that thing we see in the trailer, Paul, I know you've seen it. Steve, have you seen that trailer we're talking about with the cracking rock?
Cracking rock,
It's
Robert.
amazing rock.
It's a cracking rock.
It's
You haven't
awesome.
seen it?
I think that was
Brilliant.
the one I stopped.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Stopped.
Well, there's indications in there, without going too far, that Luke's experienced that previously, and he's very fearful of what that might indicate. Now, it could be that Rey, because now this is speculation, so I don't feel like it's a spoiler, but it could be that Rey is starting that whatever it is that's tempting her, she's starting to feed off of it, and that might be the thing that frightens Luke. Now, I must point out something that Dave Donovan said to me. We was discussing that point in the trailer where Luke is screaming at Rey. I thought he was shouting Rey, but Dave pointed out that he's actually shouting Ren.
Don't think he is.
Have you not seen it?
Yeah, I have.
I
don't think so.
I can't not read it that way.
Okay.
Now that I've seen it.
But
What trailer's
he's
this?
yelling into her face.
Yeah.
So unless I'm right, he's in her head, and
Yes.
he's yelling at him inside her head.
Yes. That's what I'm getting at.
Oh, okay, maybe.
That she is in some way
That'd be
communing
way
with
to-
him
It'd be a hard one to get across in
in the movie.
visually.
Hmm. Unless you were making a film that's dark and weird.
Oh, no, not in terms of how our audience is going to react to it. Just in terms of how you're going to depict that.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like an odd one. But I mean, it's not the worst idea I've heard,
It's
and
not
it would mean
undoable.
I was right about something, which is always nice.
Yeah,
Makes a nice
I
change.
think you're on the money.
Maybe.
Paul, are you checking that out now? Be interested to
I don't
get
know what
your-
you're talking about.
There's a TV spot. It's TV spot 10. It's called Tempt,
I've seen that. Yeah, I've already seen that.
and he's screaming
I
at
ain't
her.
seen none of it.
Okay.
Let's keep it that way.
Neither.
James, I think you might be onto something with the concept that the Jedi, there might be so much power when they move towards the dark side that it's almost like a black hole, that they get close to it and they get drawn into it. And if they can find a way to use those forces to their advantage, the way Anakin did at the end of Return of the Jedi, then double thumbs up. But whether or not we'll see Rey do that, even in Episode 9, I don't know. I wouldn't expect it in this movie because I'm sure they wouldn't want to come round full circle on that story arc in this film. I think lose her in this film, if we're going to at all, and bring her back in the next film. But yeah, I like the idea that the Force could work like a massive force of nature, like a black hole. You get caught in its pull, and you end up lost to it, especially if you're predisposed to it the way Anakin was. Great idea though.
Does look like and sound like Ren.
It does, doesn't it? The way he's hitting the end of that word.
But it's very strange because she's still in a meditative state.
Yeah.
We're behind her as he's screaming over the shot.
Wouldn't it be interesting if she was channeling Ren and communicating to Luke, or Ben is communicating to Luke through Rey? A bit like
He's
Rey.
not that powerful, is he?
Maybe Rey is short for Reagan, and this is all a big remake for The Exorcist.
She's going to go upside down and hang off the ceiling and stuff.
Her head's going to spin round. But wouldn't that be interesting if... I don't expect it, but wouldn't it be interesting if Kylo was communicating to Luke through Rey?
Again,
sort of showing,
I don't think he's got that much power yet.
Oh, I don't know. But it would be cool, wouldn't it? The way... is it Father Karras? The way Pazuzu talks to Father Karras in the Exorcist through Reagan. Taunting through Reagan, showing that he's got possession of this kid... And the priest can't have the soul back, and it would be interesting to see Kylo in that position. But like you say, that dials him up in terms of power. But that would certainly justify the Ren line from Luke.
I had a look at it while we were talking. I could go either way.
Yeah,
I bet you could.
Well, we know that.
And on that note, thank you, James. Let's go to our break now, and then when we come back, we're going to hit Casey's Corner, and then we're going to move into some movie news with The Last Jedi news at the end. So if you're going dark for this film, like so many people seem to be, you can jump out when we get past.
Yeah, I'll jump out then. Let me know when it is, Mark.
Yeah, I will do, mate. All right, we'll go to our break, and we'll be right back. If you'd like to support what we do here at Talk Star Wars, then head to patreon.com/Talk Star Wars and become a patron. Your support will help us as we expand our programming to include further shows, and in return, you'll get access to an exclusive VIP Facebook group, a monthly prize draw, weekly Facebook live sessions, priority release podcasts, an exclusive daily podcast, and a whole lot more. Head to patreon.com/Talk Star Wars today and become a TSW patron.
And we're back. So you've just heard about how you can become a Talk Star Wars patron using our Patreon account service thing. And as is customary, after we hear about that, it's time for a corner. Casey has stepped up to the plate. And so Casey's Corner is coming to you any second now. Casey writes thusly. Hello again, gents. First of all, I wanted to say that I received my copy of Canto Bight in the mail today after winning the raffle. Thanks again. The cover of the book looks amazing. It really does. I wonder if I can power through it before The Last Jedi comes out. Now on to the question. We all know one of the never-ending debates among Star Wars fans is whether the originals or the special editions are better. Some say you should never change a classic, while others say the special editions allowed George Lucas to make the movie he always wanted without the budget and technology restrictions from the original versions. Personally, I've never had a strong opinion either way. I don't blame George for wanting to improve the effects, since some of them were pretty bad by modern standards, but there is a certain charm to seeing the original versions. So my question is, what is your favourite bad effect from the original version? Mine would have to be during the Battle of Hoth. At one point, an AT-AT falls forward as it's destroyed. If you watch the back foot of it, you can see the stick coming up from the ground, which pushes that foot up in order to make it tip forward. Once I noticed it, I can't watch that scene without staring at the back foot. I've never seen that.
I've never noticed that either. No. I'm going to be looking out for that next time.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Say that again, Rob. Which bit?
So you know when the AT-AT goes forwards, it gets tipped over and goes forwards in Empire Strikes Back. I'm guessing it gets tripped by the. It's the one that gets tripped by the speeder. And if you watch the back foot, you can see the stick underneath that's poking it to make it move.
I've got a worse one than that, which I noticed in episode 7 the other night.
Yes.
When Rey's been downed in the snowy forest,
right,
and Finn runs over to her.
Yeah.
He goes to turn her over, but she turns herself over before he touches her.
He's using the
force works.
She lifts her leg off the ground and turns over, and I'm like, oh, they should have really reshot that bit. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, so from original trilogy?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know you know what I mean, but
do you have one?
You can see the stick underneath.
No, I mean,
What, the AT-AT?
for Christ's sake. No. What's your favourite AT-AT from the original trilogy? The one at the back or the one in the middle? No. So is there a bit that stands out in your head of visual effects from the original trilogy, original, that looks kind of crappy by modern standards that you're glad they changed?
Well, all the fire effects look small when they're supposed to be colossal.
Oh, you mean like the explosion
they had?
The
flames. Yeah. Oh, the flames always look kind of small, and they're supposed to be 100 foot high, and that's obviously something you can do in CGI easily now. But then the only one that looks good is when the shield projector blows up on
Endor.
Endor. That's because I saw something about that. They had to make it so big so that the flames looked big.
Yeah.
So they made the model huge. Otherwise, it would have looked like a little, match head.
Yeah.
So that's mine.
All right, that's pretty good. I like that one. I've got a couple to chuck in. I'll let Paul go first.
Trash compactor. I love the sound of polystyrene rubbing together. Awesome.
Nice.
They threw a lot of painted polystyrene down that chute.
Yeah.
I was tempted to complain about the flopping of the frames in Return of the Jedi.
Oh.
And you can see that there's this really dreadful matte behind Lando when he's supposed to be in front of the Falcon and stuff like that. But I'm going to call out in Hoth the fact that they reduce the opacity of some of the elements to sort of diminish the matte lines.
Yeah.
And so you can see through the body of the snow speeders, and you can see like the other models on the other side. So that's probably my favourite.
No, that's stealth effect. It was a
feature.
No one mentioned the end of A New Hope where they put cardboard cutouts either side of the
badly painted cardboard cutouts. That
was really poor. Yeah, that was really poor.
It's beautiful. It's romantic, man.
Oh, a couple of good ones.
Go on, then. You got a couple, yeah, Rob?
New Hope lightsaber battle.
Oh, the plug-in lightsaber.
The wrong colour. They're just like white sticks.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
Obi-Wan's head set.
Yeah, they didn't rotoscope one of Vader's scenes, did they? Where he's just got this big white stick. Yeah.
And then Palpatine's hologram in Empire Strikes Back.
Oh yeah, that original.
The original one, which was an old lady with a monkey's face over the top or something.
Yeah.
And that's one of those ones. It's not so much that the original effect is bad, but I'm really, really happy with the new one, which is the Ian McDiarmid Palpatine one. I really much prefer that one. It's so much better.
Yeah, I wish they hadn't changed the dialogue so much, though.
Yeah, so it is. Well, should we approach it from the other point of view as well? Which one is favourite bad effects, but also favourite improvement from the original, from the special editions? Doesn't have to be the same one.
Okay.
Because mine would be how much they improved the Cloud City landscape shots.
They were good.
Yeah, they did great. A lot of opening up the corridors as well, didn't they? Make that look.
Yes.
But there was also some pretty poor stuff in there when Chewie is running down the corridor with 3PO on his back, and Leia's running down with him. And it was just a white corridor. Then they kind of opened it up so it was actually more like a balcony.
Right.
It never really worked for me. There's that. Something that was improved.
Battle of Yavin.
Yeah, that was definitely improved, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Very, very good. Jabba. That was improved in A New Hope. Every time that film was released, it gets a little bit better.
Yeah, but not the original one. Not so much.
No.
The
original one was really wonky.
Return of the Jedi. The only bit that they've added to the Jabba's palace thing was the
Yasm.
They changed the Sarlacc, didn't they?
They changed.
They changed
the entire
band.
musical scene.
Little Shop of Horrors plant in the middle of it, didn't they?
Yeah, the band. Songs kind of fun, but it doesn't really fit.
What breed was Sebulba?
A dog.
Yeah,
because he's actually in that, isn't he? You see a breed of Sebulba sort of scuttle past in the updated version. Yeah, I'd never realised that.
Yeah.
Stumbled upon that a little while ago.
Sebulba. Yeah, that was a good question. I like that. Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Nice.
my read for Sebulba. Thanks very much.
All right, let's move on. Should we move into some news now? Thank you, Casey. Glad you got the book. If you want to win things in our monthly draw, become a VIP. All right, let's get into some Star Wars news then, shall we? So, as I mentioned previously, I've moved the Last Jedi stuff to the bottom, so people trying to avoid spoilers can jump out when we finish talking about the new Rian Johnson trilogy. But we're going to kick things off with a couple of solo A Star Wars Story bits. So, US theatres have started to get the posters for Solo A Star Wars Story into theatres, and they've got the May release date on them. Did you see this, guys, online?
No.
Yes, I did.
No.
So it's a bit like The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi teaser posters. So it's just kind of, it's a black background with a logo on it. It might even be a Starfield with the logo on it, and that's kind of it. But the important thing is the release date. So they're definitely, that is not moving now that those posters are out there, is it?
No. Bit harder to. Well, I mean, you can push it back, but it's going to be harder to justify for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're really going to be walking that back. You've had every opportunity to sort of walk that back and have that received in a reasonable fashion. And now it certainly won't be. I think now it's been so publicly declared.
Yes.
But they look pretty cool. The logo itself wasn't very popular in Japan, so I hear.
Okay.
The Japanese version that reads Han Solo.
It was spelt wrong.
Oh, was it spelt wrong?
Yeah, it's Soro.
Really?
Oh,
I didn't see that because I. Are you joking, Paul?
Well, naturally.
Okay. Well, that's also racially insensitive. So we're going to move swiftly on. I like the posters. I can't wait for them to hit our theatres because I'm going to frame one here in the studio. All right. Behind the scenes footage was shown at a Russian press event. Also, some Han Solo behind the scenes footage. Now, this, I think we're probably going to see that sooner rather than later, if it's already emerged at a press event in Russia. But could it be an indication that we're going to see a teaser trailer around the release of The Last Jedi? And do you want to see that, more importantly?
Yes.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yes, I would definitely like to see that.
Okay. I was listening to Steele Saunders on a podcast today saying that he would rather not see a Star Wars movie trailered on a Star Wars movie because it's kind of wrapping two wonderful events up at once, like having your birthday on Christmas, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I guess if you're really up for trailers, then one separate. But
I don't know how I feel about that.
No, I think I understand where he's coming from, and I kind of like the idea of the Solo trailer being an event in and of itself, something to look forward to after perhaps we've seen The Last Jedi, or it'll be something. But then the movie's coming right around the corner, isn't it? So that trailer you dropped in, Paul.
Yeah, I think I get where he's coming from, but I do think that the later you leave it, the harder it's going to be, because if you don't start teasing it now, when are you going to?
Yeah.
Because we had I looked at this. It came up on this day thing on Facebook the other day. We got the first teaser trailer for Force Awakens in December for the following year. We don't have 12 months for Solo.
No.
So it's going to need to start happening soon.
Yeah, they've got to do it, and it's probably the right thing to do for the general audience to sort of be made aware that there's this thing coming, because I don't know how many people will know. We're into this. Steve, what are you doing with your mic?
Darth Vader's on the call.
Steve.
Oh, sorry, it was a bit close to my mouth.
No, really?
Gathered.
Halfway down your throat.
Yeah, some people out there probably won't be aware that there's another Star Wars movie coming in May. They probably won't even know that it's Han Solo centric. It's a weird sort of situation for us to be in because we're so close to it all. We just think everyone else knows. But what better way to communicate to your target audience than as they're walking into the theatre, they walk past the poster for the next film, and then bosh, there's a trailer on screen. I guess it's the right thing to do. It's not what I want, but then I'm not your general audience because we know about this stuff way in advance, don't we?
Yeah.
So it's probably the smart move for Disney.
I don't. I see where I do understand where Steele's coming from, but I do think that there's not enough time to play that game. There's just not enough.
No,
it has to start happening now.
So
because for Joe Public, they don't. Those international posters are all well and good, but for Joe Public, most of them don't know that the film's even coming out in May.
No, of course
unless not. Unless you start teasing it now, you're out of luck.
Yeah. So is that a sign that a 6-monthly release was a bad idea, or close to a 5-month release was a bad idea? And a yearly cycle was better?
They could bring a Star Wars film out every month and it'd still make as much money.
You could, but I think there's a law of diminishing returns to that after a while.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a production schedule.
When you think... You look at how Netflix is doing things like Marvel, like the Defenders and Daredevil and Punisher. Crikey, they're doing a whole series every 6 months, and
but they're all different.
They're not much shorter than Team Leaders.
They're all different characters, though. There's a full catalogue of dozens and dozens and dozens of comic book characters to choose from. Whereas with Star Wars, we would have to keep creating new characters for these movies to work. I just don't think they're going to.
Well, they've only got to get a team of writers in a room. I mean, we could all thrash out a story for Star Wars if we were in a room long enough.
But I think they want them to be good, mate. That's,
I think we could do a good job of it as well.
Now you're better
off. The ideas we've come up with are brilliant.
We have come up with good ones, I'll give you that.
Now you're better off getting a Netflix show or an Amazon Prime show for Star Wars, or Disney proprietary streaming service TV show, live action TV show that we know is coming. To do that sort of thing is to churn out those stories all the time and tell a compact story.
Also, TV is completely different when it comes to how much you can get away with in terms of how frequent you can make things, because a TV series on Netflix is still only just over 6 hours of story. So 2 hours every month. It would basically just be a TV series. But they're not going to do a cinema release for that sort of thing.
No.
I realise we're getting into the hyperbolic, but,
yeah,
just kind of illustrating the point.
Yeah. It would... I'm not sure what to think about this in the moment. I don't know whether the Solo thing, sticking to the May release, is being done for another reason. Like someone suggested that they might be doing it to test that sort of release cycle and see how it works, see how people accept it. I believe that they're getting this wrong. I firmly believe that it should have been pushed back to December.
I like the Christmas releases. They're fun.
I like the Christmas releases, and 18 months now, or little more than 18 months between Solo and Episode 9 is going to be impossible.
It's going to be it's going to be tough.
You're actually now advocating what I just said, because you would love to see closer releases then by that argument.
No. I'd rather there be a year.
No, I mean one every 6 months. You would love it, wouldn't you? Because then you'd only have 6 months.
He's literally just said the opposite of that.
Yeah.
He said he'd rather space them out for a year.
I think.
I know. Okay. I hear what you're saying.
That's
you're
an interesting.
18 months is unbearable. But
yes.
If you could have a new Star Wars film every 6 months, you telling me you wouldn't go for it? You'd love it. It's your job. Your life is Star Wars. Of course you would.
I don't know. I think it depends how this works. I don't think they could sustain the quality every 6 months with the movies, which we just said. I don't think they could. But it depends how this works. Coming off the back of, for us
they
now,
have the same production time,
remember we're not the general audience, but for us, coming out of The Last Jedi now, we'll spend a while deconstructing it, talking about it. We'll do audio commentaries and all that sort of stuff. We'll be building up to the home entertainment release, and we'll be hitting Solo at the same time, and then we'll come off the back of Solo and we'll do the same thing. That would be, for us as content creators, that's a fantastic well to draw on all the time, a 6 monthly release. But I think it would be exhausting. I think it would become...
Yeah.
I think you'd get Star Wars fatigue after a while.
Yeah, because I actually think that there's a bit of that happening with Marvel now. Because there's no... Somebody mentioned that there's no planned announced movies following Infinity War Part 2. It's almost like they don't know what they're going to do next, because at that point it's basically the money shot of all the different.
They do know what they're going to do next. They do. Kevin Feige has said that he's got, I think there are about 20 movies that they know is coming after the Avengers.
I know that also, obviously, there's strong suggestions that one of the reasons that Disney's so keen to buy Fox is because they'll get the X-Men back.
Yep, and the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, although I keep seeing people mention Spider-Man turn up, and that's not going to change anything because he's still Sony.
Yeah.
Isn't he?
Yeah,
I don't know why
Sony.
people keep mentioning them. I think maybe
they do.
They
still have their deal. They still have their deal, Sony and Marvel. So there's plenty going on there. The thing is with the Marvel stuff, there might be some fatigue in there, but I think it's more to do with the quality or lack thereof of some of their recent products. We might not see that with Star Wars. We might not see a drop in quality because it's still Star Wars. And with Marvel, you've got like Daredevil was fantastic. Jessica Jones was okay. Daredevil 2 was okay. Luke Cage, in my opinion, was quite poor. Iron Fist.
I've heard good things about the Punisher.
Iron Fist was just, I couldn't even make it through. I think I got about 4 or 5 episodes and then just quit it because it was just terrible. Defenders wasn't a great deal better. Punisher is the best by far, in my opinion.
Wow, okay. Nice.
It's even better for me than Daredevil. I think it's amazing. So for Marvel, you can see that when it's not the Marvel paradigm that makes these characters, I think that's not necessarily true with Star Wars. With Marvel, you have different characters dotted into their universe, and they're all very individual. With Star Wars, it's the universe, and the characters in there will be different, but they're still populating the same universe. So they're a similar thing. That's why Rebels and Clone Wars are successful, because they're in that universe, and the archetypes are the same, and some of the superficial stuff like the look and the sound of the movies and the TV shows.
Yeah.
So maybe they wouldn't be subject to the same forces as Marvel if they were churning out this stuff. But I definitely think people would get tired of it.
I mean, not for nothing as well. I don't get to the cinema that often in a course of a calendar year. So it might get to if it's too often, it might get to the stage where I don't get a chance to see them all.
Yeah, like I haven't seen all the Marvel stuff in theaters because there's just too many of them. There's 3 a year. There's just too many. I can't get there. I just can't work it into the schedule.
That's the thing, is also with the Marvel ones, like you've just said, they're characters inside a universe, but the characters are what you get drawn to. So if you're a Marvel fan, you have the characters you're interested in anyway.
Yeah.
And you gravitate towards the films and the TV series that feature the characters you're interested in. With Star Wars, it's basically everything, because it's not like that.
Yeah.
That you'd feel compelled to catch everything, in which case, like I say, if you're somebody like me who maybe gets to the cinema 3 or 4 times a year at a push, you're going to start feeling like bad, and you're going to start getting annoyed about it all because they're making them faster than you can watch them.
So how does the TV show stand up?
I mean, for me personally, I don't have Netflix, so for me,
okay. But from the point of view that they're talking about an ongoing, live TV, live action,
I'm cool with that.
Does that mean you're not as interested, because that would be a constant weekly situation?
I'm cool with doing that. I think that, if nothing else, Rebels has shown that they can put stuff in the TV arena that doesn't have too much of a bearing on the saga films and doesn't mean you miss out on anything. You might get a little bit more fan service if you've seen the TV, but you're not going to lose essential points of story. So as long as they don't have it cross over too heavily, which is one thing Marvel have done really well, they've sort of made light allusions to other things in the Marvel universe, but they're not hinging what's happening on the film as to whether or not you've seen the first half of the second series of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Because, nobody should have to do that.
Nobody should have to watch that show.
I just meant generally, but yeah, that too. That's kind of my take on it. Is I'm cool with them doing TV and stuff, and I don't necessarily feel as compelled to catch that stuff. With the movies, they're the big show. So for me, if I miss those, I feel more kind of aggrieved about it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm looking forward to the TV show. I'm interested in it, and if they deliver storytelling on the level of, say, The Punisher, to nod back to the Marvel conversation we were just having, then I'm all in. If it drops quality and we end up with something like the Inhumans, then I think we've got a problem. But let's hope that they get the correct writers, correct creators. Crossroads, a cult classic. All right, let's move on. I've labelled this up as Star Wars Episode 9, but because that's on the base document, but it's nothing to do with Episode 9. This is Rian Johnson's trilogy.
Oh, I see.
And Ryan let us know this past week or so where the idea of the new trilogy came from. This is the first time I've heard this said from basically one of the people in charge, and that was Ryan. He revealed that it was actually he who pitched the trilogy to Kathy. Now, I didn't know that. I knew that they were going to make this thing together, but he revealed how that came about. And it was literally that they were trying to find a way to keep working together because they'd had so much fun. And he said, wouldn't it be great to tell one story over 3 films that isn't tied to the Skywalker saga? So we got the opportunity to tell a story completely unburdened by any baggage.
It's pretty cool.
I think that's really exciting to know that he pitched it and they went for it.
Yeah.
Because now this whole thing about him possibly being the new George Lucas starts to make more sense to me. That is precisely, I think, what we're going to get. A singular vision, even if he doesn't direct all, which is our next story. I'm directing all 3 movies. Ryan says, it was totally separate. It was never on the cards for me to direct Episode 9. I was always going to finish The Last Jedi and then hand off to the next filmmaker. But the idea for the new trilogy was completely separate. It just came because we were getting to the end of this process and kind of getting sad that we were going to have to stop working. But like Kathy and all the folks at Disney said, we were just like, we've had a really good time. How do we keep this party going a little longer? This is obviously leading up to a point. We were just generally talking about what we could do, and I was like, what would be most interesting to me is a new trilogy, 3 movies, 1 story, new characters, new places. Let's start fresh. That was the most exciting thing I could possibly think of, and Kathy really responded to that, and we're going to give it a shot. So I've made a note in there that so far so familiar, but the next comment is on the prospect of him possibly directing all 3. He says, honestly, I don't know yet. If I direct all 3, I know I'm going to come up with the whole thing. The idea is to come up with one big story, and I'm going to write and direct at least the first one, but I'm going to have to, even the first one at this point, we're still figuring it out. So I don't know yet, but I know I want to come up with the whole thing, and then we'll see. So what I've read into this, reading between the lines, and sort of drawing parallels back to what we've already seen in Star Wars previously, is if Ryan's going to tell this story and he's going to hit their 2-year release window, he's not going to be able to do all 3.
Yeah,
he will write everything, or at least outlines for everything. He'll produce and direct the first movie, write and prep the second movie, send someone off to direct it, and write and prep the third movie, send someone off to direct it.
Yeah,
which is pretty much George on the original trilogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if Lucasfilm and Disney decide that they're going to move to a 3-year release window, he can,
maybe that changes things.
It can change everything completely, and it'll be like the prequel trilogy where George got to write, produce, direct all 3 films because the schedule's much more manageable.
Yeah.
So what do you?
I don't know if I like the idea about new characters, new places. Let's start afresh. I mean, yeah, it's a good concept. It would be kind of hard to talk about something coming up if there's no reference to canon or history or. Do you know what I mean? If that could mean they're doing it on Earth because the Force would exist in the entire universe, even if it was in a galaxy far, far away. I mean, they could move it to something that is wholly unlike anything Star Wars.
But you said about referring to history. What if he's telling a story in history, like at the start, of everything?
That might work because then it's reversible.
And this is what Paul, you've been after this for a while, haven't you?
Forever.
Yeah,
Didn't he come out and say that it's not an Old Republic story at the very least? I read that somewhere.
I haven't seen that yet. What I'm trying to do at the moment is every time I come across something said by Ryan, I'm putting it into a separate set of notes so that I've got the source link to those notes. So I can always go back and refer to it and try and lock down absolute fact about this trilogy, because there's not a lot of it to manage at the moment.
No.
I haven't seen any comments from him about the Old Republic. That doesn't mean they're not out there.
I want to see something that goes back, not only whether it's in the past or not, but goes back to the root of Star Wars: lightsabers, duels, fights, knights. Chivalry, whatever you want to call it. Like the stuff that. What did you call it earlier, Rob? You were talking about New Hope. You was talking about A New Hope, and you said it's like the way it was, like pirates almost. But I can't remember what you were saying.
Oh, like space opera and swashbuckling and Saturday morning cartoon
That's
stuff.
what I want to see. Like, forget, and obviously space battles, big time space battles, but not necessarily smart technology with, all that kind of Star Trek bridge gump that just looks flash and, that stuff that JJ does coming out the wazoo with the light. I can't remember what it's called, lens flare. I want to see, kind of character-based swashbuckling, like you said.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
We want the Flash Gordon and not the Babylon 5.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've seen that much Babylon 5 in these new films, but I can see what you mean.
I'm not saying we have.
The problem with the prequels that people didn't necessarily feel like they were stepping into Star Wars again was because we kind of grown accustomed to the used universe. The beaten up, the make good and mend universe that George said was a result of the Empire coming into being. How all the money moved to the core and everybody outside of the core had nothing, and it was all abject poverty. And that was kind of an interesting construct of, the fallout of the Empire coming into being. But if we go back way before the Empire, there might be more wealth to be had.
Yeah. I've just found while we've been talking, I found the article. There's one on Nerdist, and it's not quite what I thought. It's him saying he won't be using that trilogy to tell the story of Knights of the Old Republic, but there's nothing to say that it won't be set in that era.
Right.
So he's basically just saying, it's a new story.
Yeah, which was covered in the press release. It's a corner of the universe that hasn't been touched by Star Wars lore.
Yeah, but then Knights of the Old Republic and the Old Republic, people forget this. This is all that stuff is legends now.
Yeah. But it's still, it is one of those semantic things where it's still kind of been done, even though it's no longer canon. I think they'd get roasted if they'd said, we're going to tell this story now, Shadows of the Empire. And people go, well, hang on a minute. And, it's not canon anymore.
I don't mean they're just going to literally redo a story that they did before. I mean, kind of exactly what they said they alluded to in the Nerdist piece, which is just because it's not KOTOR doesn't mean it's not in the Old Republic era.
Yeah. This is what we said when this news first came out. I can't remember if I think it might have been we were talking about it on TSW Comments. I was talking about it with Rob and Tim, and we were saying now if they went anywhere near Knights of the Old Republic, the fans of Knights of the Old Republic, who are legion, would be waiting for something that wouldn't deliver, and then they would fall and die on that hill. Yeah. Unfortunately, and so I think the farther away from that they can get, the better. Even if it's like avoid that time period altogether, because people are going to expect something they're not going to see, and that never ends well.
Possibly,
never ends well. So there you go.
Maybe they'll do something on Coruscant before it was covered in, buildings and nothing else. Maybe it was a forest planet and the temple was there, and
they could do a 1313 style thing as well.
Yeah, and we know that there's a Sith. There's a Sith temple under that Jedi temple. So
they built over the top of it. Yeah,
yeah. Let's see some of that.
That'd be cool.
That sort of era. Maybe that could be the center of the story.
It would kind of bounce back to what we're doing to Earth. You know what I mean, as well, because our planet's going to end up, isn't it, just covered in concrete and
cars, concrete and cars.
It'll be ashen by then.
Oh, blimey, aren't we cheerful on Talk Star Wars tonight?
No, just realistic.
Right, we're gonna wrap up the non-spoiler section of the show there, then, because we're gonna move now into Last Jedi news, and there's not much of it, but I think it's quite spoilery. So
I'm out of here. Thank you, guys.
I'm staying. I've decided.
Steve, where can people find you before the next episode, sir?
Local
you can find me at Wild About Nature or Stephen_Ware, Wild About Nature on YouTube and Twitter. Watch the videos. Every 2 videos watched rescues 1 square foot of rainforest.
2 videos
please
watched.
Watch them.
What, by anybody?
Yeah, if you watch
That's
2
really cool.
videos of on my channel, I rescue a square foot of rainforest.
That's pretty cool.
On average. 100. I've got 111,000 views, and I've had £100.
So if you gamed it using automation, you could save the whole thing.
No, because your IP gets recognised, and it doesn't put up ads if you keep watching the same one.
Oh, it's done by IP addresses now.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know if it was just a blanket offer they were doing. It's like, that's a really weird.
There's 43,560 square feet in an acre.
Right.
And I've had about 100,000 views, so you do the math.
That's pretty good going. Yeah.
I think also if Steve made that sort of money, he would say sod the rainforest and go and buy an island and disappear.
There'll be a point where I have to give up and just go away from humans altogether. Present company accepted, of course, except for Mark, Paul, and Rob.
Brilliant. All right, cheers, Steve.
Cheers, guys.
We'll speak to you. We'll speak to you on the other side of the Last Jedi, because this is it. Last episode before.
Oh no, I'm going to see it next Thursday at 7:30. Paul, you coming down?
No, sir, because I'm going Wednesday night.
Oh yeah, no, I should be in la mode.
Are you doing
Wednesday night then?
Midnight showing, Paul?
I am indeed, sir. Yeah.
Ah, marvellous.
Are you going, Rob?
I'm going to midnight showing. Yeah.
What showcase?
No, Cineworld.
Well, I hope you guys enjoy it. You'll see it before me.
You too.
So
you too, mate.
I will let you know my honest opinion when I walk out.
Nice one. Well, I think next week,
10 minutes in,
Paul, if you're free on Thursday, we'll do a podcast, just 2 of us, and do a review, shall we? Not a review, but a reaction, at least a post game show.
Yeah, we need to do a review when we're all about.
Yeah, maybe we'll cover some of that on episode 100.
Yeah, no worries, guys.
All right, nice one. Cheers, Steve. We'll speak to you later.
Guys.
Take care, mate. Bye bye.
Safe.
All right, let's move into Last Jedi stuff then.
I don't.
What?
Does he know that I don't? He told me to be safe.
Yeah, that's like a veiled warning, isn't it?
It is.
That's a threat.
Be careful. Be careful crossing the street, Rob.
Report him to TSWHR,
Don't leave
which
the
is
house.
me.
All right, fair enough.
Don't look behind you. Okay.
Don't report to me. I don't
Answer
care.
the phone.
Right, Last Jedi potential spoilers. You have been warned. There are things here you may not want to hear. So jump out now
really?
if you're trying
Should
to
I
stay
go?
dark. No, you stay. All right. Ryan Johnson, did you see the cast on the Jimmy Kimmel show?
Did not.
Very briefly.
Of some really awesome stuff in there. So Ryan Johnson revealed on Kimmel that the movie opens with the word "we're," as in "we are." And then on another show he was interviewed and he revealed the second word. So I think in about 60 years we'll have the entire script delivered on different media platforms. The second word is going to be "not." So we are not. And
I'm take it.
Yeah, I'm predicting that this line is going to be Poe Dameron's. And it's going to be some sort of rallying cry from his X-Wing to the A-Wings and to the resistant bombers. We're not going to let them through, or we're not going to fail the resistance. You know, that's the kind of thing. It sounds quite negative, we're not, but I think it's quite positive. I think it's Poe sort of driving the troops as they defend Dakar. What does that say to you, those 2 words? I mean, you have to be on your speculation A game to draw anything from 2 words, but what do you reckon?
I don't know.
We're not receiving transmissions.
Yeah, it could be something really benign.
It's like they're being. It's the rebels on. What's the name of the planet?
The Resistance. It's Dakar.
The Resistance on Dakar, and they're saying we're not receiving transmissions, or we're not receiving a signal from our observation tower, and it's because the First Order have come to storm the base.
Oh,
Something like that.
The only
How
thing
do we know these are not translations?
What?
What do you mean,
I mean,
mate?
translations from a foreign language like Porg or
Yeah, it could be.
Caretaker or something.
Well, the thing I've been thinking is preserving the Star Wars opening. It's usually the crawl up through space, pan down in space, and then there's a spaceship, a planet, or something. So I'm thinking that the reason I think it's probably Poe is because that preserves the Star Wars opening. Panning down from space to a planet's surface and zooming in a bit like Google Earth would be a bit odd, I think.
Yeah. What about Luke being a bit paranoid and saying we're not safe in the open?
Yeah, it could be. It does require that you pan down from space to a planet. It would mean an immediate wipe.
You could retell the story. You could re-depict the arrival of the Falcon on Ahch-To with Luke watching it land.
Yes, that works. That works big time. Dial it back a little bit.
Yeah, and then you just, and then you sort of see him stood out watching over the water, and then she walks up behind him.
Wouldn't it be great? It would be very awkward, but would explain the 2.5 hour runtime if we just stayed with Luke in real time as the Falcon drops, and then you just see Rey walking up the steps, and you hear her sort of, and he keeps looking at his Jedi watch, thinking, "Oh God, how long?"
And then she gets about halfway up and goes, "Oh, I left the lightsaber in the bloody Falcon," and walks down the stairs again, back down, and he's
go back to him and he's going, "Why did she just use the lift?"
He just sort of sighs,
the
gets
lift
his phone
is right
out,
there. I understand she's trying to close the rings on her iWatch, but honestly,
he's sitting there just absent-mindedly on Reddit, just like on his phone.
Yeah,
just sends off a few tweets, and then she turns up again. Oh, there you are.
Spacebook.
Yeah,
Luke is on Ahch-To with Chewbacca.
Oh man! Hashtag friends reunited.
I'm gonna suggest I'm gonna stick with space and I'm gonna stick with Poe. There's something about that feels right to me. It's just the opening I've kind of pieced together for myself, with it being the First Order attacking Dakar in space with the Dreadnought Star Destroyers, Poe's X-Wings, Tali Lintra's A-Wings, Paige Tycho in the bombers. All of that stuff makes for an immediate action set piece. Huge adventure, huge losses, loads of drama, and then we go back to Ahch-To and we get that personal stuff. Something about that really works for me. And
what? Oh, sorry. Yeah,
go on. No, go on, please.
Sorry, you weren't done. So,
yeah, no, it's something about that works for me, not only because it does the box ticking things, or this is how a Star Wars movie opens, but it does that thing where, we've only had like 30 seconds of Luke Skywalker, and for the first 10 minutes of this film, potentially you're going to be sitting there thinking, just let's get through this so I can get to Luke. But everything we're seeing is glorious, but we're still waiting to get, and then eventually we'll get the reward of we're back to where we finished. So we'll get to see the stuff we didn't see at the end of The Force Awakens, because there's kind of like that overlap.
Yeah.
The attack, the assault on Dakar would be the thing we didn't see at the end of the last movie.
What about if it's a bit of Hux and Kylo one-upsmanship, and it's Kylo storming into the throne room while Hux and Snoke are talking, and he says, "We're not done talking." He's like, "Yes, you are."
Yeah, also works. Well, what if it's Hux and Kylo, and it's Hux saying, "We're not going to be able to steal his gold slippers," and Kylo's like, "No, we can. I know where he keeps them." And
I'll distract him by
just them being scamps.
Yeah.
I think it's a medical team talking about Finn.
We're not going to save him, or we're not going to bother.
We're not going to bother. We're not turning him back on.
We're not taking him with us.
We're not going to bother. He's from the First Order. He could be a spy. Unplug it.
About 3PO saying we're not going to make this. We're not going to make it out this time.
Yeah, no, that fits as well.
Or it's a translation of from BB-8.
Yeah,
it could be. I really like the 3PO idea.
But doesn't he have the first line in A New Hope?
He does. That would be a really nice callback.
Who has the first line in Empire? Luke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole Han old buddy line and so on.
Buddy old pal.
Well, technically, probe droid up. Yeah.
Trying to get a broadband connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There goes.
The dial-up droid.
Then it just starts moving around, going, maybe I get bars over here.
Did you see this. We're going to move on now from the opening lines. Did you see the Daisy Ridley comment about possibly not coming back for episode 9?
We discussed this.
Oh yeah, we did last week.
We had a lot of different theories on what it could be.
She stepped out and sort of clarified the comments a little bit. I'm going to stop short of saying that she walked it back, although I think there's
some clickbait outlets are saying that she walked it back.
Yeah, there's an element of that to her, but this is what she said to Entertainment Tonight. She said that was the end of a very long day at the end of a very long shoot. It was pouring down with rain in Montreal. I think it's fair to blame them. We were talking about where the trilogy was going, and all I said was, as far as I was concerned, when I signed on, I was signing on to 7, 8 and 9. And then this is taken from a separate article where she was speaking to the Associated Press. And she said, when I did sign up for 3 films. And that's where I sort of saw the story ending. JJ said the same thing. I think everyone was perhaps taking that as me going, I don't want anything to do with it, which is vastly untrue because this is awesome. So not exactly a change in position, but it's worth remembering that another Skywalker trilogy of films hasn't been mentioned by Disney yet, let alone confirmed. So there isn't an episode 10, 11 and 12 to go on to. So we're making a big deal out of nothing at the moment. And poor old Daisy's getting a good hide in because she may have, as she said in the first part of the quote there, been tired. To me, I offered 2 options, I think, last week, which was the Christopher Nolan path or the Harrison Ford path. The Christopher Nolan being the cynical, I'm going to play it aloof until I get into negotiations and maybe make a bit more money. And Harrison Ford is, no, I'm done with this kid stuff. I'm going to go off and make real movies. But there is a third option, which is the Daniel Craig option, which is he, at the end of most of his Bond films, has been so tired from the whole process. He says, I'm done with it. This is the last one. And then inevitably he comes back. And I think that I'm seeing a bit of that in this statement. Certainly the first part, the end of a long day, the end of a long shoot. Just trying to focus on what, she's halfway through what she's signed up to do. Can we just let the rest of this speculation go? And there are no movies to go to. So I can kind of see it being a Daniel Craig type thing. So not necessarily walking it back, but putting it into context.
I don't know. I still see it. Nobody really knows what's happening next, and she's not thinking about it beyond the stuff she's committed to do.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it may be that she might what's his name? The guy from The Wire, the guy who had to leave Han Solo because of reshoots.
Michael Williams.
Michael Williams. That's
Michael Kenneth Williams.
Yeah, I couldn't think of his middle initial. I thought it was Michael Williams, but I wasn't sure. Anyway, neither here nor there. It may be that she finds herself in his position instead when they announce a new set of movies and she can't be in them because she's busy with something else. She signed on for a new long-term project or something. So maybe she is now just kind of keeping her options open, just because she doesn't necessarily want to just be sort of tied down to one franchise indefinitely when there's nothing actually to tell yet. Yeah.
And no filmmakers, no creatives attached to be.
There's been loads of rumours this week and loads of people coming out and saying they want to do stuff. There's a few I'm all right with and a few I really am really not okay with.
Do you want to throw a few of them out there, Rob?
Yeah, I'm spacing on the guy's name, the Ragnarok director,
Taika Waititi.
Duncan Jones.
Taika Waititi. So he got floated. I think Kathleen rattled off a list, and he was in the list of people that would, she gave a list of there are great directors out there, like people like these people. Maybe if we could find it. The gist was, if we could find the right project for them, I'd love to have people like this on board.
Was Duncan Jones in there?
I don't remember. Maybe. Let's have a look. But yeah, I've done it again. I've forgotten his name again. Taika Waititi was mentioned specifically, I believe. And he, in the right project, I don't know if I'd see him doing a saga film. I'd quite like to see him do. I'd really like to see him do some sort of standalone, like a light-hearted one, because he does the comedy well.
I haven't seen anything he's done yet.
Oh, right. If you see one film from the new Marvel range, see Ragnarok, because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
She said that he has exactly it was specifically about him. He has exactly the right sensibility for the franchise. for the series.
That's
So
interesting.
she thinks that he would be a good fit. But then I'm sure they probably said that about Lord and Miller when they signed on, and sometimes that doesn't always work out the way you thought.
Yeah, but
which is, nobody's fault.
Maybe they would, if they'd had a project in mind.
Maybe the right project. They would have been.
We know from listening to both sides that there was some miscommunication and they got off to the wrong start. So maybe if they thought, let's do a balls out comedy movie, they might be the right people. Maybe this guy is the right person for that. But
but then I heard a rumbling that it was somebody who'd expressed an interest in thing, and I would run so far away from this. It's not even funny. Tommy Wiseau.
Oh, good.
Get him the hell away from anything remotely serious. I thought he wanted
to be in episode 9.
His entire thing, his entire shtick is that he's terrible at his job.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want him anywhere near Star Wars unless I talked about this because I'm in the Patreon group for Rogue Squadron.
Right.
Because I patronise them. Not talking down to them, the other kind.
The good kind.
And they were talking about they could see him doing like a holiday special, like a sort of a send-up one.
Yeah.
And that might work. But like I said, his entire thing is that he's terrible at what he does. And that's his gimmick. Yeah, well, I don't want him anywhere near Star Wars.
Star Wars won't go anywhere near that stuff now. They've already got an entire series in the can. The name's escaping me right now, but it's Seth Green. It's a comedic take on Star Wars.
I know the one you mean.
Yeah. So if they were going to do it, they would do something like that. It's already produced. It's already good to go. But they've circled the wagons around the franchise now, and they're going to be very careful with it. I don't think they'll bring somebody like Tommy Wiseau in
Detours
to play with it. That's it, Star Wars Detours. So they're not going to just take chances with it. So I don't think he has any place in it. And this is a guy who's just trying to sort of stretch his 15 minutes.
Yeah, and that's it. And also, if it's just that he's a fan, more power to him.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is get that crap away from me. Get him away from anywhere near the directorial
Try not
chair.
to get any on yourself. Yeah. Paul, what's your take on this on this old thing with Daisy Ridley, mate?
We covered this last week, didn't we? To a reasonable degree.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. I mean, she said everything without saying anything. If that makes sense.
Yeah, there's still not much there, is there?
No, and she's basically saying, "Okay, I'm done, unless I think."
Which is the only reasonable position to take right now, isn't it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, crying out loud, it's Star Wars. So, I mean, you can be as she's not being this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not labelling her, but you can be as uppity as you like about it, and you can say, "Right, I'm done. I did my 3 films. I'm done. They come along and say there might be a 4th movie. Oh, really?
Well, that's the Harrison Ford in the OT, isn't it?
But what are you going to do? I mean, it's Star Wars, for crying out loud. Of course, you're going to keep your options open infinitely, for one of the word. It's regardless of how the context of either quote comes over, give the girl a break. She's got every reason to, swing and sway and see what comes her way. It's as simple as...
And also she's, there was a thing that did the news today about how she's deactivated all their social media stuff because it's too much to deal with, and she's only young. She's just she's just starting out in her sort of, in her kind of big screen career.
And they've got the PR for Orient Express going on at the same time.
Yep, so there's that.
It's a very public life to lead.
Exactly.
And we're not forgiving fandom.
No.
We're not, are we?
No.
I mean,
that's true.
We aren't so bad, but we're all right. In Maybe general, Steve. Steve's a nightmare. He was sending her all sorts of pictures.
Yeah. You want to know why they call me Naked Steve?
Yeah. Oh, but there was a bit of that at the top of this episode.
Yeah, but he was dressed as a porg in one of them, for crying out loud.
Yeah, goodness me.
Very, very small porg. It was cold.
Strategically placed porgs.
He's got a porkini.
Porgography.
All right, last bit for the evening. Then I'm going to drop the Falviers talk. So the cast of the Last Jedi spoke about the movie on Kimmel, and John Boyega said, in reference to the porg, that they are all over the Falcon at one point. Now it was quite a light-hearted exchange, Kimmel was talking about the Porgs and where they came from, and John Boyega said, I don't really like them, don't really care for them. And he said, I was on the Falcon at one point, and they're everywhere. There were little holes, and there were tons of Porg in there. So it's not just the dash Porg that Chewie swats.
Yeah.
There are lots of them. Now,
Station.
what I took from that is Finn's on the Falcon at some point, which we hadn't...
Entirely plausible.
We hadn't got any indication that was the case. We know the Falcon ends up back at Crate because we see it barreling through the mines of Crate.
We do.
Yes.
And we also see it exit through the surface of Crate.
Mm-hmm.
So is this an escape for the surviving members of the Resistance? Could the Falcon have Chewie, Rey, Luke, Carrie Fisher, Leia, excuse me. They're so interchangeable to me. I can't do it. Yeah, so Leia, Finn, Poe, Amelin Holdo, could they all be on there, all surrounded, all knee deep in Porgs? And that's how they get away. And is it that moment, when the Falcon sort of jumps to hyperspace at the end of the Empire and Vader takes that sort of, he slumps, kind of takes that breath.
Ugh.
Is it that moment in this movie where Crate has fallen, Kylo and the stormtroopers are storming the base on Crate, and the Falcon has to make its escape?
Maybe.
And it
could also be that he just gets rescued from the space battle, because he's piloting one of those skimmers, isn't he, at some point?
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe he gets kind of knocked out of that, but kind of left, still alive on the surface, and then the Falcon has to come and pick him up.
Yeah, it certainly looks like Poe's out of one of those skimmers at some point. He slides across the salty surface and drops down into some sort of trench, doesn't he?
Maybe he goes into sort of no man's land, as it were, and sort of helps bring him out.
They all have a game of football. I think there's a really good chance that Crate's going to fall, and Leia might call the forces back to the base. And then we've heard about these little Voltrex things, these little crystal foxes.
Yes.
They all. Neil Scanlon commented that they illuminate the space around them.
Yeah.
In some way, and they may guide characters through the tunnels and caverns.
Oh, okay.
They're really cool guide dogs.
Yeah.
Like an evacuation, like in the Battle of, is it Minas Tirith in Lord of the Rings?
Yes, there's something.
Where there's sort of people being led through the backs of the back streets of the city and stuff, trying to get out.
So I'm wondering if Leia calls everyone back, they head down through the tunnels with the Voltrixes or whatever they're called, and then they end up rendezvousing with Luke and the Falcon. Everyone gets on board, and then that's when
no. He won't be on it. He won't be on it.
Yeah, I'm not going to go. There is a spoiler out there. I'm not going to go too far into it, but there is a chance he might. I've been saying this from the start. Remember when we saw the Falcon with the dash Porg and Chewie in the co-pilot seat?
Yeah,
I'd started to speculate who was piloting the Falcon, and looking at Luke get on the Falcon and power it up, I started thinking, I think that might be him. There could be something to that we might be seeing Luke piloting that ship. And remember, he did tell Han 40 years ago, I'm not such a bad pilot myself. So it'd be nice to see that pay off and see Luke at the controls. And it would be nice to see Luke and Leia reunite on the Falcon, because that would be gorgeous. But that's the kind of feeling I'm getting at the moment, that this could be, that everyone escapes on the Falcon could be like a nice little callback to Empire. But they're escaping Kylo's clutches this time and not Vader's.
Yeah.
Another failure for Kylo
They're
Ren.
escaping Snoke and Rey's clutches. Kylo is with Luke at this point.
Oh, pushing it one step further.
That's all I have to say about that yet.
It's interesting, Forrest Paul.
My mom always said that the dark side and the light side are interchangeable.
Life is like a box.
She was a weird
dark
lady.
A box of porgs.
Never really understood what she meant.
A box of porglets. All right, let's wrap this thing up this week then. So that's episode 98 in the books. This is it now, before The Last Jedi. So before we get to our outros this week, I just want to say, wherever you are, enjoy the movie. Have a great time at this thing. Try to let it all go when you go in, because it's very difficult to let this thing wash over you when you're trying to take in all the information and you're concerned about all the stuff you've heard before. Enjoy the hell out of it. Have a great time. don't spoil it on social media. Keep everything you see to yourself just for a few days until people have had a chance to catch up. I think that's important as a Star Wars fan. Look out for everybody else. But above all else, enjoy it. Come back to us next week. You'll hear at least a few of us talking about what we thought about it.
Question. Are we going to... we've got the Facebook groups.
Are you Destiny's Child? Question. Sorry.
Tell me what your Facebook groups...
Yeah.
We've got the Facebook groups for like safe places to discuss stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are we going to open those out? Because I know normally they're private groups, aren't they?
They are. At the moment, they're private. They're for the VIPs. I have absolutely no problem. Rob, are you in a position to sort of open that up to the VIPs and get a poll
Just
going?
Like as an amnesty or something?
Yeah. Yes, why not? Let's do that. I think it's probably a nice idea to open it up to the VIPs, to open it up to the public, and then they can get a taste of what it's like to be a part of the VIP group.
Is that too?
Get in there, have polite discourse about these movies. You can speak, you can talk spoilers in there because they are behind a spoiler wall. So yeah, I think it's a good idea. If we can run a poll, Rob, and see what people think, as long as the VIPs approve.
I think we just did run a poll. I think we're good with it.
Yeah. But we run it between ourselves. Well, I'm good with it. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that. It's if you look for Talk Star Wars, a safe place to talk about The Last Jedi, you can get in there and throw some spoilers around. It'd be nice for you to interact with the VIP group. And once
if
you get
we don't see that, if you can't see that group publicly, it means that they said no.
Yeah, and then
and it's not our fault. We tried. Blah blah blah.
They don't like you. They don't want you. All right. So thank you for listening to Talk Star Wars again this week, the last show before The Last Jedi. Don't forget you can support what we do by becoming a member of our Talk Star Wars community. I've just painted them out to be mean-spirited, but they're not. They're lovely. So head to patreon.com/Talk Star Wars and check that out. There you get a whole bunch of stuff, but the nicest thing really is that community on Facebook. And also, don't forget to leave us that 5-star review we spoke about earlier. Head to Apple Podcasts, leave 5 stars in there, and benefit from the Ron Burgundy guarantee, which means whatever you write in there, we will read verbatim as long as it's clean. So if you've got something to promote, that's the place to do it. And you can email us your questions and comments to talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com, or you can reach out on our social networks, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and send in MP3s like the guys did this week, and we'll use them as voicemails in the show. With that said, gentlemen, where can people find you between episodes?
You'll find me on Movie Score News on Facebook. You'll find me on Twitter at Movie Score News, and you'll also find me at moviescorenews.com.
Sorry, I'm just writing the poll. So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Rob Wade Vision, and everything I do that's not Talk Star Wars at emotionally14.com.
Wonderful. You can find everything I do at talkstarwars.co.uk, and I'm on Twitter at Talk Star Wars. It's been a bit sparse on the main site this week because I've been dead busy at one of my many jobs. But I aim to get more things written next week as we run up to The Last Jedi, and certainly you'll get my thoughts on the other side of that movie. So once again, enjoy the film. We don't get this a lot, but the next time we talk, we'll have a new Star Wars film in our system. That is dead exciting. All right, head to StarWarsCommonwealth.com. Check out our partner shows. You can expect a tidal wave of Last Jedi content from those guys soon. You've got Tumbling Saber, Generation X-Wing, Rogue Squadron, Skyhoppers Podcast, The Nerd Room, and San Diego Sabers over there. StarWarsCommonwealth.com. Take your first step into a larger world. We'll see you all on the other side of The Last Jedi. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Find us at StarWarsCommonwealth.com alongside
The Tumbling Saber Podcast,
the Generation X-Wing Podcast,
Rogue Squadron Podcast,
the TSW Roundtable,
the Skyhoppers Podcast,
the Nerd Room Podcast,
and San Diego Sabers Radio Podcast.
Head to StarWarsCommonwealth.com. Take your first steps to a larger world.